do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Because if where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
Can't you guess?
Well, it could be on a spectrum from mass sterilisation to greater availability of contraception. I don't know what your views are as to what can be done about it.
Well, I think it might be described as voluntary family limitation.
I grew up in the 1960s, watching those TV commercials with those starving kids in Africa who stared vacantly at the camera with sad eyes and distended bellies. And in 6th grade, my Glee Club teacher, Mr. Collins, had us change the words in this song we were singing. 3 billion people in the world to 4 billion people in the world. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe that the population was so big. And I was even more shocked because no one else in the class seemed at all disturbed by this fact. And a couple days later, I told my friend Susie Hollander that because there seemed to be too many people in the world for it to handle, that I wasn't going to have any kids. And she looked at me and she replied that she was going to have 3. This is unsustainable.
I am not a bigot. Mother Earth is dying because I exist. I trust these philanthropist eugenicists who just want what's best for me. I am an empowered and free global citizen.
A war over resources? Or will it stop growing because people choose to have smaller families? And by smaller families, I mean one-child families. And this is where people start getting nervous talking about overpopulation and population issues because they're scared that I'm going to take away their rights to have children. But I don't want to take people's rights away. I want to give people rights.
Hi, we're Natasha and Luca, that vegan couple from YouTube and other social media.
The time has come to make animal rights history.
Join us in London on October 7 for the Animal Rebellion.
It's a 2-week disruption, but you can come for any time you're able to.
Taking direct action for animals to disrupt business as usual and demand serious change from governments is what the animal victims and the planet desperately need.
Hey everyone, we're in Lisbon, Portugal. We are disrupting in a supermarket, or a shopping centre I should say, with lots of restaurants around us. We have about 23 activists with us tonight and we're playing the screams of animals.
If we all sterilize ourselves and give the animals human rights, we can all have equal animal rights together and eat plant-based fortified kibble to stop the #climate crisis and achieve #climate justice with the good grown-ups at the big banks, governments, and global corporations.
Is spending $1 million on that last 3 months of life for that patient, would it be better not to lay off those 10 teachers and to make that trade up in medical costs? But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion. So you, of course,
that's an interesting thing you just said.
Our Earth is warming up and our oceans are rising. Extreme weather is wrecking millions of lives.
From California to the Amazon, our forests are burning. We are in a climate emergency.
We cannot let this happen on our watch. Up to 1 million species are becoming extinct because of mankind's actions, and time is running out.
History shows us that when enough people rise up and demand change, those in power have no choice but to act.
Millions of people around the world are taking to the streets on a climate strike, demanding our leaders listen to the science and act.
We must take back power. That means voting for leaders who care about the future of our planet. Join in supporting environmental movements like Greenpeace or Fridays for Future, a global youth movement inspired by Greta Thunberg.
And doing what we can to live in a greener lifestyle, like cutting out meat and dairy in your diet and reducing plastic use.
I mean, the population's going to have to stop growing at some point, so why not stop now? Instead of wishing that some invention or technology will save us that doesn't even exist yet and we're not even sure works. So for everyone to have quality of life, the number of humans on Earth needs to go down. And I believe that it needs to go down to 2 billion people, which sounds radical because there are 7 billion people on the planet today, but it's actually the world population of just 80 years ago. So let's change our idea of what the ideal family looks like. And let's not be afraid to talk about overpopulation, because it is not about taking rights away from people. It is about giving opportunities to women, children, and future generations. And lastly, let's be part of the solution.
The Red Brigade symbolizes the blood that connects all of us. It's the blood that connects humans, species, all of us to the earth. So for me, the Red Brigade is a vessel to hold the emotions of grief and loss and rage and joy and love and peace. And it's those emotions that connect all of us. And we work, or we try to work as one, which symbolizes that we are all connected. We act as one. We move as one.
We are all one. Everything is relative and morality is subjective, so we must act together to save the planet. You are highly evolved gods who evolved by random chance through evolution that created something out of nothing in a meaningless cold material universe that evolved life out of nothing by transforming cosmic ponscum into monkeys who must save the planet by getting rid of themselves and creating a totalitarian technocratic global monoculture society. We must eat nutrient-fortified kibble in our smart cities and pay for our cockroach milk and VR porn with carbon credits so the IMF, World Bank and Fortune 100 can save the planet from the evil CO2 we exhale, and poor little Billie Eilish can have her future back. I am not deceived. Pop culture is healthy and is not programming me to self-destruct. I will save the world by eating sustainable vegan kibble and demanding the government give me the same rights as animals. I am not being dehumanized. I am empowered. Veganism and vasectomies should be mandatory. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide, and I trust the people on the TV screen. Peace, Reflections.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, guys.
I was muted for the stream, too. Sorry, everybody. How's everyone doing out there? All right, the sound's back. Don't worry, everybody in the stream's freaking out because there's no sound. The sound's back, everybody. There's just a slight delay. I've got those annoying vegans here today.
Hello. Anna, Brian.
I'm Brian.
There we go. Anna and Brian from Those Annoying Vegans. They got their own YouTube channel. They're also on Instagram. This is not the reboot of The Mummy, guys. I'm trying to stay safe. Like, this is, I thought this is how you fight off infectious diseases.
Yeah, apparently you buy all of the toilet paper, and if you're a young person in their 20s or 30s, you
decimate
steal
the
it
aisles.
from the elderly.
I need a rap video. Make a rap video, just like stacks of toilet paper and like just.
Yeah.
People are making forks with
man.
that. Yeah.
You're going to be the new Walter White with that supply.
That's right. That's right. Let me all right. So now you guys got the camera, so you don't have to see what the audience sees. All right. That's enough of that. We don't have to do that. Should I maybe if I do it like this, it could be like Tupac kind of though. Like that'd be kind of like Hood.
It is. Or you could put it backwards again, and it's very Karate Kid.
Like I don't blow my nose in it. I snort it. All right, everybody. That's enough laughs. But seriously, protect yourself, guys. Wrap your heads and your mouths in toilet paper whenever you can. If you go in public, make sure to wear as much toilet paper as possible.
Sneeze into it, hand it to your friends, let them sneeze into it,
Exactly.
pass it along.
Exactly. Share your used toilet paper with each other. We need herd immunity, everybody. All right, so Anna and Brian, Really appreciate you guys coming on. You guys made a video in response to my response video, and this video is in response to that. So we're in a response video loop. We're in the response video wormhole.
We live in.
Right?
Yeah.
Responses to responses. I appreciate you guys coming on. I think I think we'll have a very good, fruitful conversation here. And
we really appreciate you having us on, because this is our first live YouTube debate. So this is number one, and it's because of you. So we really appreciate you inviting us on.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we became best friends before the stream started, what the audience didn't see.
That's okay. All right.
We can sing some more 90s jams, though, if you want.
And I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I run back inside 'cause I'm under quarantine.
You don't want me to get Spice Girls on you, so let's leave that.
With some Ace of Base. You gotta know some Ace of Base.
All
that she wants is another baby. She's gone tomorrow. All right. Well, we can do 90s jukebox if you guys send enough super chats, or we can actually talk about the issues, the differences, similarities, and worldviews that we have. They made a video in response to the video that I made about Joaquin Phoenix. The reason I played this introduction, this torturously strange, poetically dark introduction, was because I think a lot of the subjects that you were critiquing in the video that I had made about Joaquin Phoenix's Oscar speech, I think that ties in a lot of it. I know it was maybe a little bit funky and disturbing, so I apologize for forcing you to watch that. But yeah, what do you guys think about that intro video there?
Well, it seemed to focus on the idea of depopulation, which we know you brought up the idea of depopulation in your video about Joaquin. But I mean, depopulation or antinatalism or all these other ideologies, they don't really have anything to do with veganism. I know they might tend to be left-leaning, and a lot of vegans tend to be left-leaning, but I don't think that the belief that we should avoid animal exploitation as best as we can necessarily
correlates
to
depopulating
the earth.
Cool. All right. So you guys are not pro depopulation. You're not anti-natalist.
No. I mean, and to be frank, look at the world right now. I mean, I feel like the universe, the world seems to find a way to balance out. And you know, now we have this pandemic, and we have, I don't know that we need to go into, creating war to literally just kill people off.
Or mandating.
That's already happening, unfortunately.
Or mandating the number of children you can have. Like, I don't think that's the answer, and I don't think that it would work, even if laws were put in place that, oh, you're only allowed to have one child. Well, it wouldn't work.
It created kind of a population crisis in China, where they were worried about their demographics and their population slowing down too much, right? But what's interesting is, you know, when I talk about how the big money interests that actually push for the consolidation of the food supply, for the production of all these processed foods, for the GMO grains, for the GMO soy and wheat, you look at the Rockefeller Foundation. David Rockefeller actually praised Mao for the one-child policy and said that the Maoist revolution was a wonderful thing and a great experiment. And the Rockefeller Population Council was set up in the 1960s and 70s to actually promote the idea of depopulation using various means. So I think this is, I think this is a great place to start the conversation, because that was one of the interesting critiques that you had, right? Like the video that I made, I mentioned this, and of course, you know, a 10-second sound clip isn't going to get across, you know, the historical breadth of the situation that one would need to understand to really see what I'm getting at here. But yeah, I think it's very interesting that the Rockefeller Foundation, who funds the GMO revolution and the green revolution, which is all about genetically modified patented seeds, pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides, all these are required to make a lot of these processed vegan meat products that people are eating, a lot of the heavy grain production that's required for all the soy. The same economic entities behind this and the same NGOs actually are really into the idea of depopulation, and, you know, write policy papers and promote it in various ways. So I would say a good book to read. I'm not just going to like sit here and harp on the depopulation thing for a long time, but a very good book to read about genetic modification and the consolidation of the food supply. I would suggest you guys check out Engdahl's book, Seeds of Destruction. So he really highlights very well the economic interest behind the genetic modification revolution. And there are a couple chapters in here when he does get into the eugenics connection, because the Rockefeller Foundation heavily invested into eugenics work. A lot of the big Western philanthropists and big Western banks were actually funding and bankrolling the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute in Nazi Germany for eugenics research. So, I mean, it's heavy subject, but I think this is important. And yeah, that's why I'm always trying to bring this in as well. So
Yeah,
that's why I
mean,
said it in the video.
And to touch on your point too, what you just brought up regarding the exorbitant amount of resources it takes to produce these processed foods, you know, that can equally be said about animal agriculture. And, you know, for us on our channel, we actually don't vouch for processed foods. We try to stick to a whole food, plant-based diet. Although, you know, it's the processed vegan foods that get people sort of to cross that bridge from the other side.
And there's plenty of non-vegan processed foods that use these monocropped grains as well. And the vast majority of the monocropped grains are actually fed to livestock in factory farms and then slaughtered for meat. So I don't know that it's a vegan food problem. It's certainly a problem. And that's why, you know, we don't advocate for like a Beyond Burger based diet. Like, you know, we don't advocate for processed foods. We advocate for whole foods. We eat some processed foods. I think most people eat some processed foods. That's part of the problem, is most Americans eat a heavily processed diet, whether it's animal based or plant based.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the only problem with the food production system is, you know, vegan food, right? But when you mention that most of the grains are fed to cattle, that most of them are fed to animals, I would say that that's very misleading, right? So I would say that if you look actually at what is fed to the animals, it's mostly silage, it's mostly non-edible parts of the plant. So when you harvest corn, you have massive amounts of husk, you have a lot of other material. 85% of what's fed to the animals is not actually edible by human beings. So the most valuable part of the soy is the oil, right? So you monocrop the soy, which creates tons of deaths, and I think it would be interesting to talk about crop deaths maybe after this, but just to finish the point here, when that soy is harvested, the most valuable part's the oil. So that's obviously a highly processed food. I know you guys don't recommend everybody eat soy oil probably. That's the most valuable part. The parts that we can't eat, that refuse that's left over, the soy cake, that stuff gets fed to pigs, stuff gets fed to animals, and I'm also very critical of that. And that's why here, if we were gonna feed our animals grain, which we do occasionally, because we have dry seasons and you just get times when it's convenient, right? We're gonna feed them locally produced heirloom corn varieties that are organic and produced right here. So I definitely agree. The monocropped agriculture that does get fed to animals, that is an issue, but that is run by these big grain conglomerates like Cargill, right? You know, Tyson Foods is heavily invested in Beyond Meat, which a lot of vegan activists are saying is great, that, you know, Beyond Meat is, you know, is out there for people to consume. So I think it's kind of funny. What do you think about that? Like Tyson Foods being invested in Beyond Meat and vegan activists promoting Beyond Meat as, you know, some sort of a way to save the planet, when they believe there's an animal holocaust going on. That's like Tyson Foods investing in their Beyond Meat is like literally Hitler to them if there was an animal holocaust. So what do you think about that? The big money investment, also invested in the consolidation of the food supply through the control of animal agriculture, running huge campaigns for plant-based foods.
Yeah, the vegan camp is actually very divided on this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there are some vegans who like it because in their mind what it means is that even a company like Tyson, who murders billions of chickens every single year, that enough people are switching over to plant-based meat products that even Tyson sees the financial interest in investing in Beyond Meat, because they're looking down the road a little ways and going, okay, seems like more people are eating plant-based. Maybe let's get ahead of this rather than some other companies that are digging their heels in and not getting into it. And some vegans might view that as a positive change because the more money you have invested in Beyond Meat, the more it can be available in restaurants and the more people can try it and the more people can stop eating animal products. But then there's other people who think exactly the way you think. Vegans that think the way Primal Edge Health thinks. And that, taking money from Tyson is bad and they shouldn't do it. So
where do you guys stand on that? What do you think about that?
Well,
are you afraid to piss off some of these vegans? Because I see some of these people online. These people are crazy. Like,
we'll be upsetting many people, vegans and meat eaters alike.
Yeah, we upset vegans anyway sometimes, so we're used to both. But I guess where we stand, personally, we don't partake in fast food ever. Other than Veggie Grill.
Veggie Grill, which is all vegan, but they make their own. Or they use the Beyond Burger for the burgers, but then they make their own patties.
But we don't go to KFC or Taco Bell or what else sells Beyond Meat? Carl's Jr.
What do you think about Joey Carbstrong saying like KFC's great, going to McDonald's and making a video about how to eat vegan at McDonald's and saying this is just so great for the animals? What do you think about that?
That's the thing is and here's the thing too. I doubt that these companies are putting out these products for the 3% vegans of the world. I think there are more meat eaters trying them for various reasons. So because otherwise it wouldn't be economically
it wouldn't make
economic sense for them.
For sure, I agree. It's not targeted towards vegans. It's targeted towards normal people, right? It's the average standard American diet eater in the U.S.
Where we stand, I think that if we continue to make this the norm, and if people start to see that it's more easily accessible to have these flavors that they're used to in a way that doesn't, because here's the thing, you could say, okay, you're buying the vegan product from KFC, but you're still funding the killing of all these chickens. You could say the same thing if you're like putting gas in your car at a Chevron where they sell, sausages in the snack shop. It's sort of that. Where do we draw the line?
I think it's good that your average, standard American diet meat eating human being can try a vegan Whopper and see if they like it. I would rather them eat a plant-based burger than an animal burger, but that has more to do with just viewing the animal as a product and the exploitation involved with bringing an animal into existence for the pure purpose of killing them and eating their corpse. So I would rather they just have that option. Again, like we said, we're not going to promote vegan KFC as a health food, but it's good that the more places you can go and try a vegan version of whatever you're used to, the better, in our opinion. But it's not like the savior of the animals or anything. Obviously McDonald's still kills an inordinate amount of cows and chickens and pigs.
So you mentioned the word murder earlier. You said KFC murders chickens. Now I would say that the definition of murder is when you kill another human being, right? The unlawful killing of another human being is murder. So you consider killing a chicken murder?
That's one definition of murder. Another definition would just be to slay wantonly, to intentionally kill. So obviously we have layers of, quote, murder in our legal system for one human on another human. If you intentionally murder someone, that's first-degree murder. If you accidentally hit someone with your car, that's not first-degree murder, but you still murdered a human being, and you're going to be held responsible for it. And so to slay wantonly just means to kill intentionally. So yes, to kill a chicken intentionally, just to eat his or her corpse, is murder.
Okay, so should we prosecute people who kill and, in your opinion, murder? Right, so should we legislate, so if somebody kills a chicken, somebody kills a cow, somebody kills a cricket, is that murder? Is killing a cricket murder?
Here's the thing, I don't think we're not at the point in our society where it is so normalized. It's such normalized violence that we don't see it as murder. So it would be unrealistic to do that, you know, and if you're talking about the people who, it's such a complex system too, because you have, for example, the slaughterhouse workers, whom we believe are sort of victims of the system as well. Are they responsible, or are they just fulfilling a demand? Who is responsible? Are we responsible as a consumer for them? You know, they're the medium of what we are asking them to do, what these companies are asking them to do.
And we have different opinions based on different species too. You know, if someone were to just adopt a dog from, you know, an animal shelter and then go home and slit their throat, I don't think many people would approve of that ethically, even if they ate the dog corpse afterwards. But I still think, even though in this society that we're in now, you know, we definitely value cats and dogs way more than we value cows and chickens, yet still, I don't think you would go to prison for killing a dog.
No, we don't have those laws yet.
Right.
Now it's a felony, but it's, you know, it's still moving.
But from the victim's point of view, from the dog's point of view, I don't think he or she wants to be killed. So I think when we're looking at...
Do you think he or she wants to be vegan? Do you think the dog wants to be vegan?
I don't know if the dog wants to be vegan. I mean, we don't live with dogs, so we're not.
But you have a cat.
I mean,
I saw
I
a
think-
cat in the background. You guys have a cat,
We have
right?
cats.
The
Yeah.
cat was
And
like
a
pawing at the. Is that a scratching post back there? Like one of those.
Yeah. Well, they have a tower that they sleep on here, and we made them a scratching post over there.
That cat looked high as a kite, man. You giving that thing catnip? It was like it was kneading on that pillow, like it was super.
They do that to, you know, they do that to stimulate their mother's milk when they're kittens, so it's a comfort thing for them. Apparently, piglets do it too.
Yeah.
It's a thing that they do.
You know what cows do to stimulate their mother's milk?
What?
They take their head and they beat the shit out of their udder. Boom, 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 bash the udder. They go so hard, as hard as they can. Like if I were to punch the cow's udder as hard as I could, I probably couldn't do it as hard as like a 3-month, 4-month-old calf. It's crazy. And I wouldn't punch the cow's udder, you guys who are watching this later on those annoying vegans YouTube channel and saying, what a disgusting sick bastard. No, I just massage the udders. And that's all right. So before we get into massaging udders, or as you so eloquently said, fondling breasts, which I would definitely, we're going to get into that too. All right, so meat is murder. All right, is meat murder? Are you of the opinion that meat is murder?
It requires murder. I mean, to eat the flesh of someone's body, you have to kill them, unless someone's like hacking off a limb and allowing you to eat it, which doesn't happen. It happened. There's one instance of that I read about.
That guy that let his friends fry up part of his leg.
Yeah.
He had like a gangrenous foot that had to be amputated or something, and his friends ate it.
Oh my gosh, what? You guys.
No, I read that story.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think what we're getting to too with murder, we're obviously talking about semantics in a way. Murder is a word. The thing is, over time, language does change over time. Things that used to mean something else now. And what we're trying to communicate to the world is this idea that taking an animal's life unnecessarily against their will should be considered murder.
We're calling it what it is to allow the person that we're speaking to maybe draw their own conclusions.
So you're saying meat is murder, you stand by that, meat's murder.
Well, yeah, it requires you to murder an animal, so meat is murder.
Whether it is punishable by law or whatever the degrees of punishment are irrelevant at the moment, because we're not at that point yet in history. I mean,
we'd have to come to a social agreement.
Like, what was it, last year or 2 years ago that it became a felony nationally, right? To kill certain animals. To kill certain animals.
So what about when animals eat other animals? Is that murder?
Well, no.
Well, we have our own human idea of things that are right and wrong and human morality, but animals have their own morality. Obviously, they're
I thought they're
not human.
You guys said we were animals, though, right? In the other video, you said we are animals. You know, I said
we are animals.
I made the point that human beings are different from animals, that we are not just purely animals. That's, you know, my position coming from an Eastern Orthodox Christian worldview. We believe that human beings are made in the image and likeness of God, that we're not just animals, that we're actually separate from animals. And I would say that, well, all right, so the question is, so why can animals, when animals kill and eat animals, it's not murder, but when human beings do, it is?
Well, it's interesting that we would try to justify what we do to animals by looking at the animals who don't necessarily, like I believe that animals have the capacity to reason, the capacity to, they seem to have their own moral framework, some species, but, you know, if we do in fact think, if I'm looking at it from where I think you're looking at it, if we do in fact think that we are of a higher intelligence, of a more complex moral framework, then is that not something that we would compute somehow is wrong to do? I mean, I know our morality is subjective, but you know, we have the capacity to reason that certain things we should do and we shouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, we don't look to other animals for other, you know, behavioral norms or other ethical norms in our society. We don't look and see hey, this is what lions do, so we should do that in all cases.
Who should we look to? What should we look to base our morality on? Because you said morality is subjective. What do we look to? How do we decide what is morally right or wrong? What's true or false? How do we know that?
Well, we have to agree upon that within ourselves and within our society. That's the only way that we will ever come to an agreement on what's moral is we have to decide what's right and wrong. And I know that's like uncomfortable for a lot of people. People want to say like, no, this is definitively right or this is definitively wrong. And it's only definitively right if everyone agrees that it's right or everyone agrees that it's wrong.
So then it's definitively right to eat animals because we all agree that it's right and we do it.
But our morality, because it's subjective, our morality has changed throughout history. At one point in time, it was okay to enslave people because their skin is brown. At one point in time, it was morally okay to prevent women from voting. You know, these morals, they change over time. Everyone was in an agreement at one point in time, but then our morality evolved. We started looking at it and saying, wait a minute, no, I think if I'm looking at it from the victim's point of view, which is what veganism always does, we always look at it from the victim's point of view, in the same way that when we looked at an issue like slavery, we looked at it from the slave's point of view. Would I want to be owned? Would I want to be subjugated? Would I want to be forced to be someone's slave? No. So we shouldn't force someone else to do that. And
so how do you, if morality is subjective and truth is subjective, how do you know that a cow doesn't want to be milked? How do you know that a cow doesn't want to be protected on a nice piece of land where it's always ensured good pasture, good clean water, where it's protected from predators, and where it's getting to live its life cycle out without being slaughtered and eaten from the butthole up with its guts coming out of it while it's still alive by a lion or by a big cat, right? How do you know that they would not? Hold on, I don't think it's streaming yet. It's coming back. There we go. Now it's streaming again. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just try turning your computer off. Maybe it's that. Okay. We're good. This is what was happening every 5 minutes for the last 2 weeks, but now it's just, we had a good hour there of
yeah, it's okay.
Right.
How do we know? I mean, just as a basic understanding of what we know of animals is that it would go against their, it would be an evolutionary disadvantage to want to die. It's an evolutionary disadvantage it's literally. So every animal wants to just have those, basic needs like security, food, water, safety. I just said that. But
Because that's what I give them all. Yeah, we give them food, we give them water, give them safety.
right.
For a certain period of time, though, right?
Well, if they were out in the wild among wild animals, they would just get eaten from their asshole up right away. I mean, most wild animals don't make it past adolescence.
But I think you're presenting two options that aren't necessarily the only two options. Like if you gave a human being, hey, do you want to be viciously eaten by a lion, or do you want to just pass away peacefully in your sleep? I think people would rather peacefully pass away in their sleep, but they don't want to die either way.
Well, everything dies, right? I mean, you mentioned evolution. Why would evolution, if you believe in evolution, which I don't, I think it's actually a self-refuting philosophical position, and it's actually very unscientific, although it parades as science. Why would evolution make everything die? I mean, isn't death just a part of evolution?
Death is a part of being a living being, for sure. I mean, your cells can only replicate a set number of times before they reach the end of their ability to keep replicating.
Is that morally right or wrong, that you have to die, that I have to die?
I think it's morally neutral. I don't think that it is right or wrong. It is a fact.
It is something that no one can avoid or control.
But since morality is subjective, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Like, I think facts are different than morality. Like, a fact would be like that the moon orbits the Earth. If all human beings disappeared from the surface of the Earth, that would still be an objectively true fact. And so it is a fact. To the best of our knowledge, we haven't found an organism that can live forever. It seems like every organism that we found at some point dies. That's just a fact. So I don't think it's morally right or wrong. It's unfortunate to us because, again, if we are the subjects and we are the ones that are experiencing this beautiful life, and someday that's going to end. And that is sad. And that scares me, honestly. Like, I don't want to die. But I know that it's going to happen. And it's unfortunate, but I don't think that there's a morality to the fact that I'm going to die.
Why do you think evolution would program you to believe that death is a terrible thing? Why wouldn't evolution just let us willingly accept death, right? I mean, if death is a natural part of evolution, why would...
Some people do. I think we're all just, many of us, I think it's a natural thing for humans to be scared or weary of the unknown. That's why we travel in packs. That's why we, back in the day hunted in packs. And anyone strays, even carrying it to society now, if anyone strays from the norm, if anyone goes in a different direction, it's like, whoa, hold it there. I think we're just naturally afraid of what we don't know.
And I think that evolution
or understand.
I mean, we don't want to make this an evolution debate. We want to keep this on veganism or
at
least on Joaquin.
Yeah.
I would say that
good to touch on.
Yeah, I would say that people often conflict. They hear that phrase survival of the fittest, and I think that people misinterpret what the word fittest means because they interpret it as, it's the survival of the best possible organism. Whereas to be fit to do something simply means you're capable of doing it.
But isn't it circular? Because how do you know that an organism is fit to survive? Because it survived. So it's basically you're saying survival of the survivors. So I mean, right there, the whole evolution worldview falls apart. It's circular in logic, right? I mean,
how does it fall apart if the ones who survive are the ones that survive?
You're just saying it is what it is. All you're saying is it is what it is.
It's like an obvious statement. Yeah, it's an obvious statement. Obvious,
But so one animal is born. A litter of lion cubs is born, and 3 of them grow up to produce offspring. 2 of them die before they get a chance to produce offspring. So the 3 that lived to produce offspring, their genes will get carried forward. The 2 that died, their genes will not. So the ones that survived will get to produce more of their own kind that hopefully will survive.
It's a 2 + 2. It's an obvious statement.
But sorry, so you're coming, it's interesting. You're coming from the assumption of evolution. You're using evolution to justify moral claims even, yet...
No.
Okay, no?
Well, morality is purely subjective.
Purely subjective. So then why is it objectively right for everybody to go vegan? If morality is purely subjective, you can't tell me to do anything. It's not.
You're right. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. That's why, like, a lot of people want to believe, even people from, a viewpoint like yourself, if you're coming at morality from a religious point of view, saying that we have a creator and this creator.
Evolution is also a religious point of view, just to be clear. Like, it is a religious point of view.
I don't think it's a religious point of view from
his video.
Yeah, your video froze.
Okay, hold on. My connection's bad. Let's see if we come back.
We can hear. Okay, you're good.
All right, we're good. I would say that evolution is an absolutely religious view. It is a philosophy. It is not scientific.
It's a scientific theory. It's a scientific theory, which is the best.
It's a theory.
Right, but in science, a theory is the best possible answer that we have for something like the.
But evolution is it's an unscientific theory. I mean, it's not. We didn't come here to debate evolution. And
we're not going to debate evolution.
But I would say this: it is an unscientific theory. Like,
it's not an unscientific theory because
why?
We could say there's the germ theory of disease.
You've seen evolution. You've seen evolution.
Yes, of course we can see evolution every day, but
they literally just found a.
Show me.
I mean,
well, we need new.
Hold on. Can I just say? I was talking about this earlier today, and I think it's fitting. Is that this is just one example of millions, or hundreds of thousands. I don't know that they've just found a very, very small head in a. I don't know if you heard about this, encased in amber of a prehistoric bird. So a bird that doesn't exist today. So we can only deduce that this bird existed many, many years ago, based on what we know of prehistoric animals.
Yeah.
So,
but
I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that, like, I know people will say, "Oh, it's a theory, so we shouldn't believe it or whatever." But there's the theory of general relativity, like I said, the germ theory of disease, the atomic theory of mass. These are the best explanations that we have at the moment. And so in science, a theory is your best possible answer. But whether or not you believe in evolution, it doesn't matter in terms of veganism.
Yeah.
Because we're still talking about morality, and morality is still subjective. We can, like, the best way to look at it is, Alex O'Connor framed it in a very, I think, useful way. He says, in the court of law, someone is innocent until they're proven guilty. Now, they're not literally innocent until they're proven guilty. They're clearly either innocent or guilty from the get-go. But it is useful to us as a society to treat it as though the person is innocent until proven guilty for our legal system. So morality is subjective, but it could be an objective fact that the majority of people think it's wrong to murder. That's an objective fact that the majority of people might think it's wrong to murder, but that doesn't make murdering objectively wrong. It's still subjectively wrong.
Well, all right. So the statement morality is subjective. Is that statement objectively true?
Yes.
So is truth objective or subjective?
Well, facts can be, like I said, the Earth, the moon orbiting the Earth is an objective fact.
There are certain things, again, mathematical.
Yeah, 2 + 2 will always equal 4, whether humans are here or not.
But is this blue the same blue to me as it is to you? Probably not.
So truth is objective or subjective?
Well, truth is whatever the facts are. So it is true that
that's just saying true is true, but like, is truth subjective or objective, right? Like, I think that's a really important question for us to ask when we're looking at, that is a question. What is truth? What is morality? What is right and wrong?
Well, truth and morality are 2 different things.
Well, you need truth for there to be morality.
Okay, so the truth example. When we go up to a slaughter truck, we see that the pigs are covered in feces and urine, and that they are breathing in ammonia and suffocating in their own ammonia. Is it a fact? When I compare that pig to a pig happily, prancing around and wallowing in mud, can I make a comparison and say, I think it is factually true that this pig is suffering versus this other pig who is obviously having a good time? That is a truth. You know, I think that's also, I mean, that is my perception, but that's how we have agreed to, I think we base, that's why we talk about, you know, these animals having certain basic similarities to us. We all experience happiness, joy. You know when your dog's happy, you know when he's hungry, you know when he's fearful of something. And those are things that we have in common with them. So those are, I think that's truth.
Yeah, to the best of our ability, it is true that animals suffer.
Now, do we decide, is it wrong for them to suffer? Is it right for them to suffer?
Does any creature not suffer?
I mean,
no, that's a good question. I would say that probably to the best of our knowledge, every animal will experience some suffering at some point in their life. But I mean, does every human suffer? I would say, yeah, probably every human undergoes some suffering, but that doesn't mean we can intentionally cause suffering.
Yeah. No, the reason I don't want to have to harp on it too much. We don't have to get into like meta ethics and all this too much, but I think it's really important for us if we want to talk about things like morality and ethics and what people should and shouldn't do. First of all, if you're coming from a moral subjectivist standpoint, then you would believe that morality is subjective, that what you believe is morally right or wrong is not objectively real, and that it's not based in objective truth. Right? So therefore, you would have no right within that worldview. You'd have no right to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. Right? I mean, and you agreed with that. So in certain ways, it's like I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but like if we were debating the ethics of veganism and you admit that morality is subjective and then say, I have no right to tell you what to do, the argument's over. Right? Why should I listen to your argument even if you don't believe there exists a should? You know?
Well, we don't tell people what to do. We try to open their eyes to a perspective that they might not have considered before. I mean, that's how we went vegan. We ate meat for 30
plus,
old
31.
Yeah, 31 years, and we knowing that an animal has to die or has to be killed for us to put their bodies in our bodies is different than understanding what that involves. And when we saw what it involved, it instantly felt, subjectively felt wrong. It felt uncomfortable and icky. I mean, like, I think most people who, for example, these vigils that we've been to, most new people who arrive at these vigils, the moment they see that first slaughter truck, one of the first things they do is cry. Why? Something about that doesn't feel right. Now, we can say that's a subjective reaction, but for the most part, I have not seen anyone laugh. So there has to be something to that.
Because we have an emotional reaction to something, that makes it morally right or wrong. I mean, we can't, how can we base...
I think because something's morally right or wrong, we have an emotional reaction to it.
But you don't believe things are morally right or wrong?
They're not objectively right or wrong.
Okay.
But they could be subjective. I mean, you could say the same thing.
If I was a dickhead, if I was a jerk, I'd be like, the debate's over, I win the debate, right? Because it's like, we can't debate on morality if there's no right or wrong that exists.
Well, why shouldn't human beings enslave black people anymore?
Because they're human beings, they're made in the image and likeness of God, right? So it's like, we believe that. So back to the question, that's a good question.
But we're looking at that.
That's interesting. We're looking at that from confirmation bias, basically, because back then the oppressors did not see it that way.
They did not see black people as equal.
I don't believe morality is subjective. So doing moral calculus on the past and speculating on that, it doesn't work against my position. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you were debating somebody who was, who agreed with you that morality is subjective, like, the street debates when Joey Carbstrong or Earthling Ed is like, oh, well, what do you think? Do you think it's okay to enslave and eat a black person? Because in the past they used to believe this. It's like that would work on somebody coming from either a Darwinian evolutionist, materialist worldview, but it doesn't work on this position, right? Like I believe morality is objective, and I believe that we need to eat animals, and I believe that killing and eating animals is not morally objectively wrong. And I don't believe morality is subjective. So I think that we can kill and eat animals. We do need to kill and eat animals. All right? And I don't believe death is a natural part of evolution and that death is this great natural thing. Actually, in our theology, we believe that death is actually not natural. And we can't actually interpret nature. We can't interpret the natural world without considering the fall, without actually considering theology. So like when I asked you, is meat murder? And you said yes. And then I asked you, and I think it's a lot of the atheists in the chat are getting bugged out. I know you guys don't want to hear this. The atheists in the chat, calm down. We'll get off of the meta ethics. We won't talk about this. You moral subjectivists out there. But
by the way, we've never claimed to be atheists. That's another thing that people will like. You know, you say, "Oh, in your atheistic worldview," it's like
I did say that in the YouTube or the Instagram thing.
Yeah, I think that religious morality is also subjective. All morality is subjective. There's
the debate's over. Thank you. I can eat my animals and there's nothing wrong with it. It's all good.
But what we can do is we can look for consistency in your ethical framework, which is what when we talk to people on the street about they see footage from a slaughterhouse and it doesn't make them feel good, because if that were a dog or a cat or, you know, a horse or a dolphin, they would be appalled, but because it's a pig, it's okay. So there's an inconsistency there.
It's the
why should somebody be consistent if morality is subjective? There's no should. You can't say somebody should be consistent even. Why should they be consistent?
But your morality is also subjective, is our point. All morality is subjective.
So why should somebody be consistent if there does not exist a should?
Because what we value is we value well-being in other living beings, and I think
that's what I want to talk about. Yeah, we don't
want to live in a society where our well-being is valued, so we have to value others' well-being. I mean, the golden rule it's literally based on the fact that we're a social species. Do unto others you would do unto yourself. Others is right there in the idiom.
But what about people who sadomasochists who want to be abused, right? People who want to put themselves out there and put themselves and be humiliated. People get off on getting humiliated and they're constantly ritualistically humiliating themselves. I mean, you see these people on YouTube, right? Like they do it all the time.
The important distinction here is they're doing that. They're doing so willingly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you could argue someone could enjoy getting punched in the head. Mm-hmm. So to them, that pain is not pain anymore. It's pleasure.
Yeah.
But to the vast majority of people, that would be pain, and we've decided, no, you shouldn't be allowed to just punch someone in the head because I wouldn't want to be punched in the head.
So then a vast majority of people have decided that they should eat meat. A vast majority of people have eaten meat, for time immemorial, and have used animals as food. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with enslaving animals if everybody agrees that it's okay?
As we said, when we look to the past, everyone at one point agreed that women weren't equal to men, that black people weren't equal to white people. So what we're doing is we're looking for consistency.
But everyone still agrees that animals are not equal to humans. So why should we?
They don't have to be. Well, they're not the same.
Yeah.
And we've never said they were the same.
Well, neither are women. Women aren't the same as men.
So why do we give them rights?
That's a question for a moral subjectivist. Why should we give them rights if there are no rights that exist?
What we're asking for in terms of animals is an equal consideration for what we perceive to be their needs based on the data we have.
Our subjective data and our subjective feelings.
Well, I mean, I think it's been recorded that animals don't like to be hungry, right? They don't like to be without shelter. When you step on, if we step on our cat's tail, they squeal or they don't like it. So those are recordable data that we can use to deduce certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know what it's like to even be another human being. I
might have higher pain tolerance than you.
Yeah, you probably do. Let's be real.
It doesn't mean you can.
Women do tend to have pretty high pain tolerance. It's crazy.
I agree.
My sister, she used to get she had tubes put in her ear. She used to get crazy earaches when she was a kid, and she didn't even realize she was getting these ear infections because she was so tough. But okay, so I want to get back to a question I asked you guys earlier, if you don't mind. So we don't have to get bogged down in the ethics of if you believe morality is subjective. I think that makes it pointless to debate. But we'll keep going, right? So animals. Why is it not wrong for animals to kill and eat other animals? Why can my dog murder an animal? Why can a wolf murder an animal? Why can a black widow murder an animal? And why can every other animal murder other animals? Or why is it not murder when they kill and eat other animals, but it's murder if we kill and eat other animals? If we're all just animals.
Well, yes, we are just animals, but I take issue with the word just. I think it's amazing being an animal alive today. But I'm sure you've heard this countless times from other vegans that you've had on your chat. It's the fact that we are agents of morality. We are moral agents.
But morality doesn't exist.
No, morality exists. It just exists in the minds of human beings. It's a subject. It's like your favorite color or your personal preference. Like they exist. They're real things, but they're still subjective.
So why do you get to push your personal preference? Why should veganism legislate their personal preference on everyone else? Right? We're moral beings, but morality is not objective. It's a fantasy illusion that we invent so that we can create social constructs, right? Just like, a lot of...
I mean, that's an okay way to phrase it. I mean, morality is very useful in structuring our society.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone makes
So
their
is
own
eating
decisions.
animals. That's very useful.
Well, ultimately, everyone makes their own decisions. What we feel, our subjective morality, yes, we can communicate it to others and they can decide for themselves, do I feel the same way? Have I even thought about this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like opening a different door. It's learning, it's seeing things, understanding the world in a way that you might have not thought to understand it in before.
Yeah,
so animals don't have moral agency, but we do, even though morality,
I'm no one to say. I do feel like there have been instances of, animals showing compassion towards other animals.
Yes, of course.
And such. But I think, there are also a lot of things that animals do that we don't do. We don't, go and if you've ever watched roosters and chickens copulate, we don't necessarily do that, or that's actually not looked at well in our society.
You never seen me and my wife copulate.
We don't.
That's true.
That's
true.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
We also don't eat our young. So we basing what other animals do within their own moral framework doesn't make sense for us.
But that even applies to human beings. Like parents tell their children all the time, just because some other kid does something, that doesn't mean you should do that thing. If I see another person start a fist fight with someone, that doesn't mean, hey, that person started a fist fight, I think I'll start a fist fight. I'm not basing my morality on someone else's morality.
Or between cultures.
What do you base it on? What do you base it on then? If it's subjective, we don't even believe it's real. It doesn't really exist. It's just this thing we make up to make things easier for us. Easier for what? Like toward what end goal are we working towards, right? And if there's no right or wrong, if there's no good or bad, if there's no morality, like
so you're struggling with this issue, and it's like, and I get it, because I agree, it's hard. It's difficult to be a grown human being in the world today and have to decide for yourself what's right and what's wrong.
No, but you just make it up. It's so easy if it's subjective. It's like there's no need to justify. Not if it's subjective and if it doesn't matter, we just make it up. Why would I wrestle with anything? If morality is not, if there's no right or wrong, I could just do what made me feel good, right? It's just pure hedonism.
No, that would be you just doing. That would be sort of, what is that, nihilism? Just
hedonism, but
satisfying your own personal pleasure.
Believing that morality is subjective is nihilism. That's the thing. That is nihilism.
I disagree. I think
that's the definition of nihilism. Believing that morality and truth are subjective things, that's nihilism.
Well, no, because I know, okay, if I steal money out of some old lady's wallet, that will cause her to suffer some well-being, and I don't want to cause her that.
But how do we know what well-being is? How do we measure well-being?
Because if someone stole money out of my wallet, that would diminish my well-being.
But so what if I decide that killing humans and eating their flesh makes me have better well-being? Jeffrey Dahmer got off on that, right? Like serial killers get off on like murder and stuff like that. It improves their well-being. Who are we to say?
And all of humanity said that's wrong.
So that makes
we all looked at him and said that's wrong. We need
not everyone. There's people who exalt Charles Manson, who think Manson was like this great philosopher.
There are some outliers, of course.
So, but that doesn't mean in their worldview, in their worldview, that's real. That's okay. That's truth. That's morality is subjective, right? So there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
We all just make it up.
Well, yes. I mean, you're framing it like, oh, we just make up whatever we want.
That's how you framed it. I don't believe that. I think that's silly.
But you still believe that morality is subjective, even if it is handed down from a creator.
I don't believe that morality is subjective. Right or wrong?
Yes, you do.
Right or wrong?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Because God is a subject. If he's handing down these moral truths, what's right and what's wrong, then what's right and what's wrong is whatever God has subjectively decided what's right and wrong.
It's
and
not subjective. If God is the creator,
how is it not subjective?
Because if God is a creator of all things, visible and invisible, if God is the creator of everything, right? If everything is the creation
and we're not
of
disagreeing
God,
with you, by the way.
So if God is the creator of all things, visible and invisible, morality, truth, right or wrong, are not determined by us. Right? God determines what is right or wrong, and it's not like it's a subjective thing. Truth has to be grounded in something, and without truth, we don't have morality. We don't have right or wrong. We don't have anything. It's all just, we're just monkeys humping and stealing and flinging shit. Right? I mean, it's like, why should we order society in any specific way? It just comes down, if it just comes down to, we do this because it feels good, because we want to, that's just pure hedonism. You said we know morality, we know what's morally right or wrong by looking at something, and if it makes us feel bad, like a vigil, right? You're appealing to emotion. So why can't Hitler appeal to emotion and justify his morality?
Appealing to emotion. I think appealing to emotion would mean that because you feel an emotional reaction, it is therefore justified.
That's what you said. You said we know it's right or wrong because of how we feel.
Well, no, I think that you're feeling the emotion
because of what you're seeing,
of what's right or what's wrong to you subjectively. And so, I just don't understand how I guess twofold, and then we'll get off of this and get back to the veganism.
Yeah, to the people who are bitching in the chat, this is my channel, and I'm going to bring this wherever we want to go. I know some of you get triggered when I bring it here. Don't bitch about it. I don't care what you think. This is my channel. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll finish this point, and then I'll stop on the moral subjectivity. But it's impossible to make moral claims while believing morality is subjective, is what I'm saying.
And what we're saying is that even if, and we're not arguing that God doesn't exist, by the way, we're granting your worldview. We're saying God exists, he created everything, and he or she has dictated what is right and wrong.
No,
if I am, what's that?
Go ahead, continue.
So God has said that murder is wrong. So you do not murder, correct? That would be why you don't murder, because God has said that it's wrong.
No, right and wrong is determined by God. So murder is when you kill a person, right? Right. Sure. Murdering is when you kill a person.
Well, granted, if we're thinking,
No, I'm just saying, let's say it's just the killing of one human being to another human being. That's wrong according to God. So God is still the person or the being or the entity, the creator, with this opinion. So
there's an opinion that can trump the creator of all things? The creator of the ability to have an opinion.
If he created everything, then all the rules that he created, they come from him, and he or she is a subject.
Morality.
But also, morality is kind of double-pronged. It's that there is such a thing as good and evil, or right and wrong, and that we should do what's right and shouldn't do what's wrong, right? Those two facets sort of work together to form morality.
But if you don't believe that morality is, if you believe morality is subjective, there is no should. You even said it earlier. We can't even say you should or shouldn't do anything.
That's the point that I was getting to, is that even if there is an objective, this is right, this is wrong, people still have to subjectively decide to do what's right and not do what's wrong.
They can listen to God or not listen to God. They have to choose that.
All right. Well, let's yeah. All right. I'll humor the audience who doesn't like this part of the conversation, and we're gonna back it up. What do
they want to know?
What do they want us to?
That's what we're doing. We got some super chats from some of my favorite audience members. So Let's see here. Let me come down to the very beginning. We'll start at the beginning. We say, John Dennison, $4.99. Thank you for the donation, man. He says, TP turban of safety. Dude, that wasn't a turban. That was my do-rag, man. That was my TP do-rag. Into the Further says, where is the 3% of the world is vegans number from? So I guess that one's directed at you guys.
I threw that one out there. All that signified was that we are still a minority.
I mean, according to all the available data, I would think that we're definitely less than 10%, but the latest figures that we've seen is somewhere around 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so let's see. Electra sends $5.
I mean,
doesn't
and
even.
Also, survey.
Cool. All right, Electra sends $5. Doesn't even say anything. Just throwing $5 out there. Thank you very much. Resting Bitch Face, greatest name on YouTube, for $9.99 says, subjective reasoning by the extreme minority is not a foundation for rewriting society's moral paradigm. Very succinctly said. I'm sorry for wasting an hour not just saying that one sentence, but I agree.
I would argue that at one point in time, it was the subjective opinion of a minority that women should have the right to vote.
And so because it becomes an objective opinion of a majority, that makes it...
That certainly helps us dictate, our laws regarding certain issues.
But it doesn't make it
objectively right or wrong. No,
okay.
It's objective that the majority of the people agree on.
Is it objectively true that there is no objective truth?
No.
Is it?
There is objective truth.
Okay. And where does that? How do we know what's objectively true? Last one on the metaethics. How do we know what's objectively true?
Things that can be demonstrated or proved without the opinion of a subject. If something is subjective, it requires a subject.
So how can you know what's objectively true without you as the subject? So without all of us, without us being here to view it and to witness it as subjects, how do we know what's objectively true?
There's nothing.
Nothing exists.
That's what I'm getting at. So if there's nothing outside of... all right.
Like if you have two objects and then another two objects, it will always equal four objects, regardless of whether someone's there to count them.
Okay. All right, so Garland Farms, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. Where's your videos, Garland Farms? I'm waiting on some. You've got some videos that you're telling me you're going to make. I'm looking forward to seeing those. Garland Farms is a grass-fed, regenerative beef cattle rancher based out of Texas. In fact, if you guys are looking for delivered goods to your house, he can ship to you. I don't know if he can ship outside of Texas, but if you're in Texas and you want some good grass-fed beef delivered to your door, hit up Garland Farms. You can find his YouTube channel and he'll direct you where to go from there. He sends $10. Thanks for the donation, my friend. Says farmers apply rodenticides and practice ratting. Think dogs. And intentionally kill mice, rats, voles, etc. in vegetable agriculture. Is this also murder, or is there a double standard at work here? So that's an interesting question, which I wanted to get to as well.
Are they saying that this doesn't happen with the crops that cows are fed? Aren't there?
Well, many cows don't eat. I mean, 70% of the cows in Australia never eat anything but grass, right? Never eat anything but grass. Small percentage of them do eat some grain, and then some of them are finished on grain, which they would kill small animals to make that grain. But I guess what he's getting at is, how can you say it's wrong? Like if I have grass-fed beef cattle and they're just eating grass, why is it worse than killing rodents, mice, rats, voles, etc. for vegetable agriculture? He's pointing out an inconsistency, which you guys said we should be consistent, even though there is no should. We should be consistent. So
the whole idea of crop deaths, right? That's what we're getting at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crop deaths. Well, I mean, intention for one. Do I know for a fact that a mouse was killed for the organic apple I bought at, I don't know.
You know that bugs would be killed, that animals would be displaced, and that there would be the destruction, and there would be pesticides used, and even in organic agriculture, in Hawaii, they're killing boars who are coming on and eating their macadamias. Loads of boars are getting killed there.
We agree that it is impossible for us as Homo sapiens to have a zero impact on the earth. So simply by being alive, I will cause a number of deaths throughout my life.
Is that bad? Is that good or bad?
I don't think it's good or bad because it's not avoidable. The only way to avoid all suffering is to just kill myself.
Which we do not advise.
But that's not a reasonable suggestion to offer someone who's looking to do the least amount of harm that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about veganism, we don't talk about it in terms of, you know, achieving perfection. Veganism is not about being perfect. It's about causing the least amount of harm we possibly can cause. I mean, do I know that a cow was killed for the steak that is on the table? Yes, that is a fact. That is a product of an animal. But so, you know, but again, like we're comparing to, because just the same, how many millions of acres of land are cleared for animal agriculture. Animals are displaced there, you know, species extinction and polluting waterways. And this is, you know, we know there are places who do it more, I guess, responsibly, if that's something, I don't know, I can't even call it that, but yeah. The majority of people in the world, I mean, factory farms were the solution to feeding billions of people. That is where most people get the meat and the dairy and the eggs that they consume.
And we're often that argument is brought up, you know, like you said, on a select farm in Australia, you could come up with a situation where this person over here is eating animal products and in theory causing less animal deaths than this person over here eating plant products. But we have to compare, you know, consistently between the two sides. So a lot of people will say, oh, all of this monocrop soy that all these vegans are eating, but
yeah, there's more deaths. There's more deaths from that than from grass-fed beef. Absolutely.
Exactly. But
how's that irrelevant?
We can't compare small grass-fed farming to large monocropping. It's not an apples to apples comparison. We would then have to compare small veganic farming to small grass-fed farming and compare the animal deaths there, or mass monocropped vegetables to mass mass factory farmed animals. Like,
so
we can't.
Are thousands of mice lives worth less than cows' lives? Because you want to do moral calculus on it. It's like, well, if you do the moral calculus on that, there are more animals dying for plant agriculture.
But we're still clearing land for those cows, plus the food that they eat.
Clearing land of what?
Clearing land for them. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've been to California, but you know, you go to Ontario and it's just dust. It's dust and it's all dairy farms, and those cows are on dust. There's no grass there.
But we also clear forests and then plant grass for cows to feed on, like in Brazil. I mean,
they clear those forests in Brazil for mining and for lumber. They sell off the expensive lumber and then they sell the land for dirt cheap. There's nothing else they can do with it, and then people do bring in cattle. But the soy,
but we cleared land.
They're clearing that land and they're growing soy so that the burgers can be made out of soy to feed humans.
No, vegans don't eat that much soy, man. We can't possibly compete.
To feed humans, and I'm not saying vegans. I'm not saying vegans. It's to feed humans in general. How much soy oil gets consumed globally, right? It's one of the biggest crops. It's one of the biggest commodity crops. Right? I think if you want to do the moral calculus, we're kind of maybe being a little arbitrary, saying it's okay to apply rodenticides and intentionally kill. Like, all right, so Garland Farms here, he's in the chat. He says applying rodenticides so you can eat kale intentionally kills mice, not mites, but also mites will be killed by insecticides, mice, rats, voles, etc. So I mean, just brush it aside and make a joke like crop deaths, though. I don't think that's really debunking it. I know the vegan tactic. Oh, crop deaths, come on, it's ridiculous. But I still haven't seen.
No, we don't think it's ridiculous. We're taking it seriously. But what we're saying is that we have to cause.
That's also assuming that non-vegans don't eat plants.
Plants, yeah.
Which most people do.
Yeah, there's that, and there's also, I mean, when we have to look at it per calorie, and we can produce a lot more calories with plants than animals on the same square footage of land. But also there's simply the fact that human beings, we have to eat something. We have to eat something. And what causes the least amount of exploitation, because veganism is about animal exploitation.
This is what I don't understand too, is how do we define exploitation? How do you know when something's being exploited?
Well, I think that artificially inseminating an animal and then bringing their young into the world for the purpose of slaughtering their young and eating their corpse, that's pretty exploitative.
How do you know that that's exploitative, and why is that wrong?
Well, you're treating the animal like a commodity. It's the definition. You're exploiting. You're using another living being for your own personal pleasure.
But animals can do that to other animals, and that's fine.
Animals aren't breeding other animals into existence and murdering them by the millions.
There's fungus that will infect ants and that will infect insects and actually grow through their brain, take control of their body. Like there are parasites that exploit organisms. Parasites that live in human beings and in all animals will exploit that organism. And mosquitoes will come and bite your skin and leave a welt on your skin, suck your blood, and go off. Is that exploitation? Is that wrong?
Are we basing our morality on what a mosquito or fungus does?
No, you're basing your morality on wishy-washy ideas like we just make it up because it feels good. I'm not basing my morality on that,
but it's not about the feeling because...
Okay. It's about what most people believe is what you said.
No, it's... If all I was doing was living my life based on what felt good, I would be a very immoral person.
But there is no morality. There is no morality. What are you talking about?
No, morality is real.
Okay.
It is just a subjective thing that we all have to agree on.
What's the next question?
Next question.
Real and subjective at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Garland Farms is a good question. I'm not convinced by the answer. I'm not convinced by their answer to go vegan. I'm gonna keep eating animals because.
Well, we can't force you to go vegan. All we can do is share with you.
I can't force you to eat meat.
Exactly. And
I could give you a Beyond Steak. I make really good Beyond Steaks. If you guys ever come out to Ecuador, I'll make you one.
What do you make them with?
Grass. We have bioconverters that convert grass and inedible shrubs on site without any necessary machinery or equipment. They convert that into bioavailable protein and fat and carbohydrate. And the only byproduct of this is actually manure that regenerates soil and it regenerates grassland. Yeah, we got a bioconverter here.
We would eat a Beyond Steak prepared by you. As long as it didn't have butter or any other animal products on it.
Oh no, it's a cow. The bioconverter is a cow. It's a highly advanced machine that converts the vegetable matter that we can't eat into. Oh man, I shouldn't have told you that part. I should have stuck with. All right. Says they seem like a cute couple. David sends $10. Thanks for the generous donation, David. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, David.
$10, and it says they seem like a cute couple. How long have they been vegan? Seems to me they are still in the honeymoon phase.
Well, we've been together for 5
years.
Oh, being vegan, honeymoon phase?
Yeah. 4.
Yeah, 4.
I've been vegan for over 4 years.
If you guys decided not to be vegan, would your relationship fall apart? How much is your relationship based on veganism? How much of this is...
Well, we
weren't vegan when we met.
No, we weren't.
You went together. You converted together.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no going back. That's the thing. That's one of the things that we differentiate between veganism and plant-based eating because there's no. Once you go vegan, there's no. There's a lot of talk about ex-vegans. Oh, I was vegan once and now I'm not. We're like, no, then you weren't vegan. That was vegan. Once you've made up your mind that something is wrong, how do you decide? How do you go from believing that slavery is wrong to believing it's right again?
Well, how do you go from believing that eating animals is fine to believing? It's subjective, right? There's no who cares.
Yeah.
You just switch it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
like if I'm speaking, look, on a down to earth, what my subjective experience was, I watched Earthlings and it didn't feel good, and I cried a lot, and I was like, I don't want to participate in this. That's the thing is like, I didn't know these things were happening. I feel like I was like, why wasn't I told? I feel like I've been lied to. And it's not so much that I've been lied to. Also, it's just that, I've lived my entire life thinking that this was normal, that this is just how I was brought up. And I always called myself an animal lover. I've loved animals since I was a baby.
So what would we do with you love animals, right? What are we going to do with all these cows? They're going to stop being bred? Like it's better that they never existed?
Over time.
It's better that they never existed.
Well, we bred them into existence for a purpose.
But I thought that was, if you believe in evolution, isn't that just part of evolution? Isn't that just...
It's unnatural selection, I guess you could call
What's
it.
unnatural about human beings if we're just a product of natural evolution? What's unnatural about us?
About us?
Yeah.
About
This is another thing that I think is a really important point to get across. And I think if you really go, okay, let me just finish this sentence and then you could back it up. Because I want to get this across because, you know, the audience is throwing super chats. We've got a big fat super chat from one of my favorite YouTube channels here too. And I got to read these and I'm distracted. I've got an IQ of 63 and I want to get this point across. So morality is subjective. The vegan diet, now I lost it. I just saw the big fat super chat and I got completely sidetracked here. Dang it.
I said that the artificial, like the way we've bred dogs, the way that we bred cows is an unnatural selection.
So you believe in natural selection, you believe in the transmutation of species, you believe in the theory of evolution, which I believe is unscientific and unfounded and unobserved and untrue. But if you believe that, why are the things that we do unnatural, yet all the things that animals do natural? Is that not the very definition of speciesism?
No, you're absolutely right in that there is sort of a meta way of looking at it, in that anything that happens on planet Earth could be classified as natural because it's happening in nature. So humans developing an airplane and then flying across the country, that you could argue, hey, that's just part of nature. But, you know, colloquially, the way that the word nature or natural is used is something that happens in the world where humans have not interfered. It's
That's
outside
what I'm getting
of humans,
at.
outside of human society.
So as soon as humans touch something, it's unnatural? Like if we breed animals, that's unnatural. Yet if other animals harvest other animals in nature, if other animals wait till their prey gets to a certain size and then they go and harvest them, if they allow them to sit for a while, that's natural. But when we do it, when we breed animals, when you say exploit, when we exploit them, that's unnatural. I don't understand the delineation.
Well, let's look at it from, for example, turkeys nowadays, the turkeys that have been bred to be so heavy that they can't even have sex.
How's that unnatural?
How is that unnatural?
If we're just a product of nature, how is it unnatural? I'm not saying that we should breed animals to where they don't even move, and I'm not saying we should confine them indoors, but in your worldview, where you say also morality is subjective and that we can't say there is a should, but how is that unnatural? If we're just nature, if we're just the embodiment of natural selection, we're just doing what we do because we're human beings and it is what it is, why is it unnatural? I don't understand that. And I think that if you really were to observe this and be honest with yourself, you would eventually, the worldview would fall apart and you would not believe in veganism because you'd realize it's inconsistent.
No, I don't think that the worldview would fall apart. We would just say that, well, morality is not dependent upon what's natural. What happens naturally, you know, you could argue that using the internet is unnatural, but are you saying that, well, no, humans evolved to a certain point where we invented the internet and thus everything is natural? So if everything is natural, nothing is natural. But
I didn't appeal to nature. You said it's unnatural to breed these animals.
I'm not appealing to nature.
But you said it's unnatural for us to do it, therefore we shouldn't do it. Why shouldn't we breed animals?
No, I didn't say it's wrong because it's unnatural.
Okay,
so it's wrong because it's immoral, but I said that breeding cows into existence is a form of unnatural selection.
Okay.
But it's not wrong because it's unnatural.
And it's not wrong because it's wrong. It's just wrong because you decided
it's wrong because I wouldn't want to be bred into existence and exploited for my breast.
I wouldn't want to die at all. So would I say that it's wrong that natural selection and evolution made it such that I have to die? I don't want to die.
No,
I don't want my children to die. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to suffer.
No one wants that, but is it wrong to take your life prematurely just because we want to, for whatever purpose?
Is it wrong? You said you said there is no objective wrong.
No,
but all of this, what we're talking about is our subjective point of view. Yeah. So we're just keeping it. We're acknowledging that it's subjective, but this is how we feel.
Yeah. But it's useful. It's useful to think of certain things as objective, even if they aren't.
Useful towards what end?
It's useful towards our society. So if we can all agree that murder is wrong, then let's treat it as if it's objectively wrong.
But we
even though
do
it
all
isn't.
agree. We do all agree that eating animals is right, and we do treat it like it's
No, we don't.
objectively right. Yeah, we do.
There's a percentage of the population that believes that eating animals is wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not an objective fact that everyone believes eating animals
But
is
if
right.
we believe that that part of the population, if a majority of the people believes that the portion of the population that believes that animals being eaten is wrong, if we believe that those people suck and are annoying, if most of us
hence our
believe
family.
that, no, that's what I'm saying. So if most of us believe that, then that makes it right. So I win the debate.
And we would say that in the same way, yes, in the 1800s, when the majority of people thought enslaving black people was right, it was right.
All right,
But
there
we
you
can
go. I
look
got
at
my
it now
clip.
and
I
say-
got my clip. You're gonna be off the internet, man. I'm clipping this up. You're gonna look like a
No,
big
that
meanie. No,
doesn't,
I'm kidding.
that
I'm
doesn't
kidding.
mean it's right. That means that the majority of the people
know,
at the time thought it was right.
Okay. All right, so let's, I'm sorry guys, for the
Take
people in
it
the
out.
audience, I really, like, I gotta go there, you guys. I gotta go there because this is, in my opinion, this is the problem that we have in the West right now. We believe that morality is subjective. We believe that truth is subjective, that there is no objective
We
right
don't
or
believe
wrong.
truth is subjective.
Okay, well, I'm saying in the West, that is, if you believe morality is subjective, then it,
Question we've
Yeah,
already
let's get to the
covered.
next.
all right. That is the problem with the West, and that is why we see civilization crumbling right now. Because we've given up on the truth, we've given up on the foundations of truth, and we're living in a la-la land where we just think we get to make it all up. So I'll shut up about it. Let's move on. We got another super chat from Foregone. Says, tips to you, Tristan, for dealing... Oh, be nice. Tips to you, Tristan, for dealing with these low IQs. Come on, man. I just said I got a 65% on my IQ test. All right, we got 10 what is that, Korean? HRK, what are HRKs? Thank you, Daniel. Mijatovic says, Augenis Vonderplanets, all capitals. He's a big fan of Augenis Vonderplanets. Rest in peace, Augenis Vonderplanets. I knew somebody who knew Augenis. Never met the dude. Didn't hear about him until just a few years back. But yeah, I knew people who were eating his high meat because he was saying it. And I know people that really benefited from his information. And I've seen a lot of people bash him, or I've just seen a few mentally ill people bash him. But, you know, Augenis seemed like he was a good person, wanted to help people. And I'm glad he helped you in some way. Ben sends $5, says, all evidence for evolution requires you to presuppose evolution. The theory would apply perfectly to the evolution of the Ford Mustang. Well, I mean, I can't refute that. Matthew M says, US $2, you know you too would have cute babies. Humans are better than animals. I agree. I think they're nice people. I think they love each other. I think they, I think they're misled in their philosophy.
We're not anti-baby, by the way. That was a lot of people have accused us of being
So I don't have to hide my eat meat, make families sweatshirt. Well, maybe cover
we're
the
gonna
eat
make
meat.
some sweatshirts that say "Eat plants, make families" because you can do that too.
You can't do that till you make some babies, but please don't do it and make them vegan because I believe that that's child abuse, and I've seen a lot of kids suffer from it. Please don't do it. I think you guys are really cool, and I hope that you. It's cool that you do other stuff other than just veganism, and you not rely your whole identity isn't wrapped up in it because I do believe someday you will not be vegan. I'm sorry.
You can
Sorry to
wish.
say it.
You can believe that.
Well, let me ask you this: since you mentioned babies, you know, what do you? There are there is a reason that slaughterhouses aren't open to, one, the public, and two, school trips don't necessarily, you know, like, do you think children are, if they were to walk into a slaughterhouse, what do you think their reaction would be?
What do you think? What if children walked onto a cornfield where they were shooting pigeons over it, right? Where they were shooting doves over the cornfield to protect the corn? What about when they're spraying rodenticides? Should children be exposed to that? I mean, they'd probably become autistic from the rodenticides that are being sprayed that would screw up their gut. But I mean, would they? I mean, my children will.
Do you agree that
my children have seen animals slaughtered? Not in a slaughterhouse. We don't have slaughterhouses here because we don't have the mass industrialized animal ag isn't the same here. So we have local food production still, which is why I think most people here will never be vegan because they know where their food comes from. But yeah, I have no problem with my children. I have no problem with my children seeing slaughter. But would I bring them to a slaughterhouse? Why would I bring them to a slaughterhouse? Right?
Well, that's our point, is that we want to protect our children from seeing death and violence. And so we...
Why? There's no right or wrong.
There is right or wrong.
Oh yeah, but it's fake.
Subjective.
It's make-believe.
I know. Well, every time you throw that out, I'm just going to have to throw in a puddle. I mean, but I'm
you guys are being champs. I appreciate you guys with the conversation. You guys are really you're much. I gotta say, you call yourself those annoying vegans, but you're not that annoying to me. So, you know who's way freaking annoying? That vegan couple. Those people are freaking annoying. You guys should switch names.
Why are they annoying?
Oh, those guys are insufferable.
Really?
Oh man,
They actually inspired us to get active. Yeah, they inspired us to go to our first
We've met them a few times.
Yeah, well, they've been to the town we live in, and they are fake autofocus. Those people are insufferable, and yeah, I hope they come and try to do their little activism here, because it would be interesting.
Are you talking about the disruptions?
Yeah, they should try to do a disruption in Ecuador. I think that'd be hilarious. They'd get their ass.
Were they there?
Yeah, they were in Ecuador. They learned, like, they tried to do a yoga thing with some people we know, and they're just like, these are actually vegan people too, or they eat honey, they exploit bees. But they did like a yoga course, and they're trying to get these people to teach them like their, I don't know, special new age touch things. And anyways, they were here.
I don't think that a couple who's out there trying to spread a message of compassion and love can be called insufferable.
Oh, they're insufferable. I will not suffer those vegans.
Why?
Oh no, they're invited. They can come on. Hey, that vegan couple, I'd love for you guys to come on and have a conversation. I do think you're insufferable, but maybe you can prove me wrong. How about that? I'm sure they're.
You thought we were annoying before, and now we've changed your mind a little bit.
I mean, you guys have more of a, like, you're not as fake as them. You know what I'm saying? Like they're really fake. And that dude's so emasculated. But that guy's so, come on, that guy's super emasculated. That woman is off of a rocker. And look at the. All right, we'll move on.
I don't want to.
You're trying to start some beef between. You're trying to start some beef, man. I thought you were vegan. Why are you trying to start beef? All right, moving on.
I wish I had a snare drum.
All right, let me. I don't know. I'm feeling. Where'd my headband go? All right, never mind. All right. Where'd it go? We got a couple more super chats. We got a bunch of super chats, man. All right, Ben. What's up, Ben? You guys are gonna love this one. No, I'm sorry. Badger Wise. No, oh, dude, there's so many. Okay. K2KYD sends $5. Factually, more animals die from plant agriculture. Are you saying you value cows more than those other animals? We save more lives eating grass-fed.
We would disagree with the word factually. The data that we've seen shows that there's fewer animals killed per calorie when you're dealing with plants versus animals. Because we have to look at calories, because human beings require calories. We don't require one.
But per gram of protein, per calorie of protein, more animals die from wheat production than from beef production.
That's because wheat is very low in protein.
That's
so why are we using protein as our metric?
So how about per calorie of soy, more animals will die than per calorie of grass-fed beef?
No, that's incorrect.
That's
not. When you're comparing calories.
More calories will die from soy. All the insects. Do those insect lives matter? Sorry, do you guys?
Yes, they do. But there's a study. You can look it up right now. It's number of animal deaths per 1 million calories in 8 food groups.
Well, there's several studies that conflict and give different values. Let's be fair. There are several studies. We could debate like, oh, this study's good and this study's bad. But
I think
so. If that's true, then what's she basing her data off of? Why does she believe that
grass-fed
her
beef
data is correct?
Grass-fed beef, right? Okay.
I'm assuming this person is basing it off of the metric of protein. Now, if we use
they say calories. They say calories. Let me see.
Yeah, not according to the data that we've seen.
Oh, they just say more animals die from plant agriculture.
But again, if we're saying that data is subjective.
Yeah, I mean, if we used carbohydrates as our metric, then plants would be.
Okay. Badger Wise says for $9.99. Badger Wise, thanks a lot. Badger Wise, you're always up in the chat. I really appreciate the support. Everybody who supported the stream today, I do appreciate it. Even my videos that are uploaded as unlisted for the members site, even those are getting demonetized lately. I had my brother tell me he tried to find the vegan foot soldier video, and our channel's on the back end of the algorithm somehow. I thought I was being a good global citizen with my introductions to these videos, but the algorithm is not very happy. So I appreciate the support that you guys all give. If you do want to support further, please become a member. We've got a private members forum, and we upload a lot of private content on there. Sometimes I jump up on the Instagram Live, and we get some fire content from the Instagram Live. Some of it I might have to upload on a different platform because YouTube is getting a little bit weird. But thank you guys for the support. The super chats help. They help keep the channel alive. There you go. Keep the channel alive. And we really appreciate that. Badgerwise says, with subjective well-being as the moral criterion, if farmed animals could be given perfectly pleasure-filled lives and perfectly suffering-free deaths, how could eating meat be considered wrong?
Does an animal go willingly into a knife point? I mean...
Yeah, sheep do. Sheep just stand there. My sheep will just stand there while I slit their throat to slaughter it. They'll just stand there. Sheep are so mellow. That's why I call,
Might it be because we've bred them to be mellow?
Or they're
chickens,
used to you being very nice to them, and then one day you pull out a knife and slit your throat. I mean, I
protect them from, they're both of those things. They're bred for that.
I don't know how slitting someone's throat can be considered protection.
It's a sheep. It's not someone. It's not a person. It's a sheep.
Yeah, I think that he or she still has a subjective experience of life, and they value their life, and they don't want to suffer.
But when another animal kills it, it's cool.
We're not other animals. We agree with you in that. And humans and animals are not the same. So human morality is not the same as lion morality or mountain lion morality.
Why?
Because we're different. That's what we're saying. We agree with you.
But I don't get how you can justify that belief. How can you justify that we're different and we have moral agency but animals don't? That's speciesism. I thought you weren't speciesist.
Their moral agency might be different.
Their moral agency might be different than ours.
So what if my moral agency, I'm a different animal than you, my moral agency is different than yours?
No, you're the same species as me.
I don't identify as that.
As the same species?
As the same species as me?
Yeah.
You don't believe you're a Homo sapien?
I'm trans vegan.
You're what?
I'm trans vegan. You didn't know that?
I don't know what that means.
Well, I eat an animal-based diet, but I identify as a vegan. And I also, as a vegan...
but you're still a Homo sapien.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that vegans are humans. No, I don't believe that vegans are humans because that's my subjective view.
Oh, I see.
Okay. But we can show conclusively, if I take my DNA and I take your DNA, we can both show that we're both humans. So
no, that's just subjective.
No, facts are not subjective. Factually, we are both Homo sapiens. That is a fact. Whether
so Homo you're saying that that trans people don't exist? Dude, you guys are in LA. You're about to get yourselves in trouble. You guys are you guys are actors.
Transsexual people? Wait, they're Homo sapiens too. Everyone.
We're talking about species.
No, I'm trans species and I'm trans vegan.
Okay, I don't know what this means. Is this like a joke that you do on your channel routinely?
You think trans people are a joke?
No.
I'm asking you.
Because neither do I.
Is this trans vegan a...
Let's just move on before... I mean, you guys are really nice. I don't want to get you in any more trouble than you might already be in. Let's move on.
I'm just really confused what this became.
I'm just really confused.
I don't know what trans vegan is.
Well,
I don't know what that has to do with being a human or Homo sapien.
Whatever. All right. We're going to move on. We got a super chat, big fat super chat from a not big fat person, Vegan Phobic. Vegan Phobic makes some really good compilation videos. Vegan Phobic also had you had a video. It was maybe a couple months ago, and you also came to the conclusion. And I used to do this game on Instagram where I would show pictures of vegan activists, and I would put them next to pictures of meth addicts. Or no, it was actually I would take a picture of a meth addict or a vegan activist, and then it would be meth or vegan, and the audience got to vote meth or vegan. And I saw that you actually maybe independently came up with the same idea, meth or vegan, on your channel. no offense, guys. I'm not saying you guys look like meth addicts or anything. I know you guys are vegan. I'm trans vegan. I'm not offended either. He sends a $99 super chat. Check out Vegan Phobic's channel. I'm sure you guys have already seen it. He's got some good compilations. He also has some really good compilations of Dr. Greger debunking Dr. Greger, which is great. He says, enjoy, and sends a little hand signal. Thanks a lot, dude.
What's our commission on these super chats, by the way, Tristan?
These are just subjective super chats. They might not even exist. We got Daniel.
Money value is subjective. Money's totally subjective. We can't. It's what we buy is subjective.
You got all these super chats. All these super chats are going to go directly to animals' well-being. Don't worry. Daniel Mijatovic sends another 10 Koreans. I think those are Koreans. Says, what is HRK? Tell me, is that
Hong Kong dollars?
I don't know.
Hong Kong? He says,
Hong
did
Kong
they
dollar? Look up HRK.
Let's hear it. It's got to be. People can do it from anywhere. Like people do North Korean dollars. Those are NOKs. I don't know how they do that. Maybe with a VPN, they do North Korean dollars.
HRK currency is a Croatian kuna.
Croatian, there you go. Croatia. Hey man, appreciate it. Hope all's well over there in Croatia. I'm going to use that to buy more toilet paper so I can protect myself from the coronavirus. We've got 10 Croatian currencies. It says, did they eat any eggs or dairy in the last 4 years?
No.
On accident?
No.
We've occasionally been served things in restaurants or something like that we didn't realize had the animal product in it, so we might have taken a few accidental bites. But no, we haven't intentionally consumed animal products since January of 2016-ish. We actually don't know. We don't have a vegan anniversary. We don't remember the day.
That's good.
It was somewhere around January 2016.
One day you won't even remember it at all. You'll barely remember you were vegan one day. Let's see. I know you guys disagree, but I think it's true.
We'll check back in death years.
Right on. All right, Garland Farms. He wants you guys to address the rodenticides, the intentional killing, the intentional spreading of rodenticides on plant agriculture crops. Is that okay to kill rodents, to grow plants, to feed plants to people?
Well, according to the data, like we said, if there are fewer animal deaths per calorie of plant products versus animal products, then the ethical thing to do would be to eat plant products and minimize your consumption of animal products. So a certain number of deaths
again, veganism
happen. We can't avoid it.
We're not saying that veganism is about being perfect. It's about just doing the least possible harm that we know to do.
So me eating grass-fed beef only, eating eggs from my own chickens, eating only food from my local area that's not spreading rodenticides, where we're not killing animals, we're killing less animals than most people in the world to eat our foods. That's technically vegan, right?
Well, then you have to also factor in the exploitation part of it. But we see what you're saying in that we could devise a world where everyone owned and operated a small farm and didn't use pesticides and didn't use rodenticides.
I'm saying everyone. I'm saying me. I'm vegan.
Well, there's animal exploitation involved. You could easily have a small veganic farm, as opposed to a small, grass-fed cattle farm.
But veganic, you're pushing animals, you're displacing animals. You're going to be killing insects with natural pesticides, veganic pesticides. You still kill animals. You still rob them of their food source. Is that not exploitation? You're still exploiting the worms in the soil. I mean, those worms are being forced to eat that soil, to live horrible, grueling lives underground in the dirt, eating shit. Those worms just eat shit all day, just pooping shit out. And that stuff is needed.
We understand what you're saying.
That's exploitation then, right?
You could craft a scenario where someone causes fewer animal deaths on a small farm versus a large-scale Western, monocropping situation. But the truth of the matter is that the vast majority of people in Western society consume factory-farmed animal products that are highly exploitative. So your small farm in Ecuador is not reflective of the human species as a whole. So I agree.
So your veganic
Is
farm
there
is
a
not your
problem
veganic
with-
farm is not reflective of vegans as a whole. Most vegans are eating vegan junk food. Most vegans are eating Beyond Burgers and stuff
We
regularly.
agree.
Yeah.
And so according to the data, when we look at per calorie,
I'm more
of
vegan
these
than those
huge
vegans.
crops,
I'm more vegan, right?
you may be causing fewer animal deaths, but you're also causing intentional animal exploitation.
Unnecessary.
How do we define what's exploitation again?
I think that if you're treating a living sentient being as a product, that is exploitative.
So when you have a social security number, you're treated as a product. When big tech is looking at us and harvesting our likes and our clicks and using them for advertisements, is that
exploitative? Yeah, that's exploitative of them to gather data and then show you an ad in the sidebar that conveniently is an ad for something you were just searching for on Google. That is exploitative.
Speaking of ads, I did not buy that magazine, and you guys, you nailed it. I didn't buy the magazine. My mom had it. My mom, she works for Nordstrom, so she, because of her job, she really she's in the fashion industry and stuff, and so she brought it. And that last time she visited the Vanity Fair magazine, and it was cool because my internet went out that day, and I was trying to get screenshots, and I couldn't get the screenshots. I was like, shit, my internet went out. I have the actual article in this magazine that my mom left me. So I did not exploit, I did not.
We're not mad at you if you did, Tristan. If you bought the
magazine. It was just, you point me out as you're saying, oh, that's hypocritical. It's hypocritical, but
Well, I did say you might have not bought it, but you're still absorbing the images.
You're absorbing the ads that are within.
No, I didn't look at the ads. I just looked at that one article. But when I was a kid, I did used to flip through, and I just, I was always really interested in social engineering and how advertisement does shape the consumer's, mind state,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
We agree.
Which is why I said that Hollywood is very exploitative, and I made the comment of how ironic in this room, to say in this room that we shouldn't exploit and use people and elevate ourselves above other, to paraphrase incorrectly Joaquin Phoenix. I was saying look at Hollywood, it's highly exploitative of children, of women, right?
And we agree. And as we said in our video, the difference being is that the common outlook from the majority of people is that exploiting children and women is already wrong. So, how you were saying oh, he's talking about the voiceless. Is he talking about children or victims of domestic abuse or all these other victims? The difference being, as we said in our response video, is that if you polled 100 people on the sidewalk and said, what do you think about child slavery? 100% of people would say it's wrong. But if you say, what do you think about eating butter from, this Altadena factory farm, they'd think that was cool. Yeah. So we're speaking up for victims that aren't seen as victims right now.
All right. And what I was saying is, it's so ironic that he would say this in this room, full of people who look the other way on child exploitation, the sexualization of children, and the abuse of children. Because we all know, I grew up in California as well, we all know that there's a major child abuse issue in Hollywood, and to brush that over and to talk about the animal abuse, when his own brother stated in interviews that he lost his virginity when he was 4 years old. Right? His own brother, River, said he lost his virginity when he was 4 years old, and then he said he was then celibate from the age of 10 till I think 14 or 16. There's a quote from him, and that's kind of what I thought was great. And then also to nitpick again, the end of the video, I'd use that Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's a sampled, just looped thing. Yeah, I think the original song is obviously better, but you can't use that on YouTube, man. You can't go using real songs on YouTube. You get that demonetized. You get the notice that it's, you get the little red dollar sign. So absolutely, don't be offended. I'm not saying that that he sucks as a drummer.
That your synth drumming is better than Chad Smith's drumming?
Yeah, no way. No, it's just it was just one of these random. It was what's it called? It was one of the best no license music things that I could find. So I use it, switch it up every once in a while. And but you know what's crazy? I didn't even realize this until I watched your video, and then you said that. And I remembered that John Frusciante is actually the guy who gave River Phoenix the drink at the Viper Room. He gave him the speedball that killed him, allegedly. Oh. Crazy, right? I didn't realize that, and I wasn't I realized.
Well, I think that most people agree that what happened with River Phoenix is wrong. They agree that child abuse is wrong. They agree that child exploitation is wrong.
But that doesn't make it
To say that
wrong.
the majority of people in the room agree with it, I think is, like, as we pointed out, many of the people in the room are not A-list celebrities or producers or directors. They're like, they're costume designers, they're makeup artists, they're editors, they're sound mixers. Like, the room is full of hardworking individuals that also are in disagreement with.
Yeah, but the people that are being put on camera are the same people that will clap for child rapist. I'm gonna get demonetized for Roman Polanski, right? The same people that would give a standing ovation for Roman Polanski, like the same people who would say Harvey Weinstein is an amazing person until it wasn't cool to say that. These are all these same people. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a major hypocrisy issue in Hollywood, and I think we'd agree that that's kind of hypocritical of them to like clap for Roman Polanski, and then
I mean, I
talk
know,
about,
as far as I know about that, there were people who walked out.
That's
I don't know.
good.
I don't even know how he got an award if he's literally been, no one knows where he is.
Yeah, he actually made some good films. I'm not saying he did make good films, like some.
He's been on the run. So
Yeah.
who's accepting the award for him?
Yeah, I don't know any, like that much about it. I think that Hollywood is definitely a den of vipers, and that's why they hang out in places like Viper Room. But you know, obviously, there are people who work hard, who run cameras, who, you know, I mean, I got friends who, you know, work in Hollywood and stuff, and not everyone's bad. But I think just because we all agree that something's wrong doesn't make it wrong. I think that there is right and wrong, and we need something outside of ourselves to have objective morality, to have objective right and wrong, and even have objective truth. It can't just be we feel like it's good or bad. I think that.
And then we have to decide to follow what's right and not.
And that's
do
what's yeah, exactly, and that's what, you know,
That's
that's
our
what
own-
the concept of sin is. You know, not aligning your will with the truth, with the will of God, which is good. The will of God being inherently good, because what is good is God. That's what we believe. Not you,
I
me,
think
but
that would be a subjective opinion of God. Whatever I say is good is good. Whatever I say is bad is bad.
so what if you have the presupposition that God is the creator of all things, visible and invisible, everything. God created everything. How can something be? Nothing exists, including our opinions, including any concept. Nothing exists without the will of God, right? So you can't trump God. You can't say, oh yeah, that's just God's opinion, man. It's like it's like.
Well, I guess I would ask you a question, you know, related to something like this, the story of Abraham, for example, where God asked Abraham to kill his son, and then he said, "No, don't kill
Did
your
Abraham
son."
kill his son?
To prove his faith.
He was going to kill his son.
But
right?
did God make Abraham sacrifice his son? All these other
God
tribes, all
stopped
these
him.
other people were engaged in human sacrifice. Were engaged in these things, cannibalism, human sacrifice, eating babies and stuff like that. This was going on, right? And then
But that's what I'm saying. If God asked you, Tristan, to kill your son tonight, would you do it?
that's a
Because it's the
hypothetical,
word
and
of
it's a
God.
false hypothetical, right? So it's like
Why is it false?
It doesn't exist. It didn't. If God was a pony jumping over the rainbow, singing the Lucky Charms song, it's just like that doesn't exist.
But if what God says is right and wrong is objectively right and wrong, then God asking you to kill your son would be objectively right.
God's not asking me to kill my son.
But
Thank
if he
God.
were, it would be objectively right. Correct?
If morality was objective, would subjectivity be false? Would subjective morality be obsolete and false? It's like if everything was different, this is like ask yourself type shit, man. This is like false hypotheticals.
No, I'm just saying that if God appeared to me,
here's what I know you're
more relevant. How about a more relevant? Okay, so listen. Like we grant the existence of God for this argument.
Mm-hmm.
There are vegans who are Christian. There are meat eaters who are Christian. How do how have they developed? How have they decided? Because God isn't
I don't care how they
saying-
did it, because I don't believe morality is subjective. So what other people believe, that's on them. That's fine. You can believe what you want to believe. That doesn't make it true. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it good, right? Because some people believe it's okay to sacrifice babies. That doesn't make it good. Do you think it's okay to kill babies?
Absolutely not.
Do you think what Planned Parenthood does is murder?
I think, yeah, we've been asked this question a lot before.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are not for abortion as a method of birth control. We are pro-life.
I am so glad to hear that. You're the first vegans who are consistent with that. Thank you so much. All right, and that was actually the next question. So let's we've got another one. Matthew N sends $2. He says, "Is abortion natural?" Natural.
Is abortion natural? No.
Is murder natural?
Is murder natural?
No, the same abortion when we inflict it on, and murder when we inflict it on. I mean, that's the definition, right? So when it is inflicted upon another being, then it is, we are removing the natural course of that being's life.
I mean, the baby would have been born had you not stepped in to intervene. But again, if you're
if you're just an extension of nature, if you're just a part of nature,
right? That's what I was getting to. So if everything that happens on planet Earth can be considered natural, then nothing can be considered natural, and the word natural loses its importance.
Yeah, yeah. So you're consistent on some of these things. I think eventually, when you really observe this, and maybe even like re-listen to this chat, I think you'll come to different conclusions about some of the morality and the philosophy stuff. But maybe that's just my opinion, man. All right, Garland Farms, another $5. Thanks, Garland Farms says, do veggie farmers apply rodenticides on purpose, or is it truly applied by accident, as these vegans claimed earlier? Is it purpose?
No, we didn't say it was applied by accident. we said they use them on purpose to protect the crops. Yes, of course.
All right, Ben says, $2. If morality is subjective, why care about compassion?
That's a great metaphysical, meta-ethical question to ask. Why should we care about other people's well-being, other sentient beings?
If there's no should, why should we care?
Why should we?
Yeah, I think it stems from the fact that we value our own well-being and we want our well-being to be respected.
Yeah, I suppose if we value it, then we can deduce that others value it. And when we ask others if they value it, they say, yes, I value my life. And then we extend that to non-human animals.
Well, we already extend it to some non-human animals.
Yeah.
We're just asking it to be extended to all non-human animals as far as what's possible and practical.
So then you couldn't eat any foods that rodenticides are used to grow.
Well, no, that's the purpose of the what's possible and practicable. So someone living in a city in Western society who can't grow their own food, they need to rely on farmers to produce plant foods for them. They need to go to the grocery store. Like the majority of people.
But they don't need to. They don't even need to live. Why do they need to do that? They don't need to breathe. They don't need to live. They could just, like you said earlier, if they wanted to just end their suffering, they could just kill themselves. And that is a position by some vegans. Some of these vegans are like the antinatalists. They're like, everyone would be better if they were never born, some of these people say.
Well, that's not our position.
I know, I'm not saying that's your position, but what do you think about that position?
I think it's unreasonable.
Okay.
It's unreasonable to ask people to commit suicide.
Yeah, we are here. Let's find the way to live. Let's seek a lifestyle that excludes inflicting suffering upon others as best as we can.
Why is suffering bad? And is suffering bad? That's my question. That's not a super chat question. Is suffering bad?
Well,
I think by definition, suffering is removing well-being from someone or causing harm.
How do you determine what is well-being? What is that?
Well, again, we experience pain and we experience pleasure, and we are, stimulated somehow to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
What if hard work makes us feel pain? Is hard work bad?
No, I think that I get what you're saying. Like people go to the gym and then their muscles hurt.
Exactly.
Right?
Childbirth. How about childbirth? Right. It's a great example.
Childbirth is painful, right? But you're still doing it for the end goal of the pleasure that you will receive.
Yeah, that's why we kill animals.
Everything in life.
We have to kill animals to get to the end goal of the pleasure we receive of feeling good and being healthy, and that's
without taking. But that's thing is, when you involve another being that is not consenting, then that's when we hit that roadblock. If we're going to the gym and I'm inflicting pain on myself because I want to look good, then that's on me.
Yeah.
And if I want to have a baby and I know childbirth hurts, but I want the reward of giving life and of having that relationship that doesn't inflict pain on anyone else.
Okay.
You know, maybe, I don't know if it hurts the baby when they come out, but
I don't know. None of us remember being born, so we may never know.
I do.
Do you?
Yes.
But like,
if you let me hypnotize you,
3 Men and a Baby?
3 Men and a Baby. That's exactly how it was.
Is that it?
No, wait, no. I just flashbacks from watching.
What was that? There was a movie, right, where you could hear the internal thoughts of the embryo.
no, it was who's talking.
Oh, guess who's talking? Guess who's talking?
But 3 Men and a Baby. I don't remember the movie. I just remember the mustache on the cover of the VHS tape.
Absolutely. Was that Tom Selleck's mustache?
Tom Selleck's sexy ass mustache on that thing.
Right.
Oh man, Tom Selleck.
I feel like there's a certain age that men hit, and I don't know what this age is, but there's a certain age that men hit where all of a sudden a mustache looks right.
It's like 45, but
yeah. It's like man.
Yeah, like Charles Bronson back in the day, that was acceptable. But you know, if you've got the mustache and you're greasing it, and you're also wearing a fedora, and you've got a scarf that's like unnecessarily tied around your neck in a weird way, and you have a tattoo on your face, but you've never been to prison, then it's probably not okay to have a mustache. And that is objectively true, and that is objectively morally wrong to have a mustache in that case. All right. There's so many super chats. Thanks, guys, for the support, and thank you guys for coming on and for staying for so long. I'm gonna try to finish these super chats and we can wrap it up. If you guys have anything you want to cross-examine me on, if you got anything you want to say, if you want to eat a steak on camera because it's not morally objectively wrong. All right, you almost said yes though. Okay, so Zach Morris. The real Zach Morris.
The real one.
I'm a huge fan. You're kind of mean to Screech sometimes, but I'm a huge fan. USD 499 says a regenerative pasture-based farm is life syntropic. There's actually a net increase in life with the ecology that is created. Yeah. So the moral calculus on that. So a regenerative farm where you're bringing in more species, right? You're allowing more species to be born, and you're using animal input to do that. I would say that that's true, but would that be vegan? Is that okay?
Well, it's hard to say because we live in such a non-vegan world that even our methods of farming vegetables involve animal exploitation. It's so ingrained in the culture that it's hard to see ourselves transitioning to a different style of farming. So that's why we don't really discuss issues of health, issues of farming, issues of economics, because veganism is ultimately about the ethics and the avoidance of animal exploitation. So we're hopeful that in the future, as more and more people become vegan, that we will make progress in that regard.
All right. Well, I got a question in regards to that. So you're not health food vegans. You're not like out there saying you got to do the vegan diet because it's the healthiest thing. Those type of vegans are kind of obnoxious, but the ethical vegans, those are the ones that I do think are the more dangerous, and the more subversive movement is the ethical vegan movement. So, what about? Okay, so if human beings, if me or other people and many people that I know have done a vegan diet and their well-being decreased from being vegan and their well-being increased from being non-vegan. Would it not be exploitative, and would it not be speciesist, and would it not be cruel to make them go vegan and to expect them to go vegan? Why should they go vegan if they feel worse?
Well, here's the thing. When we talk about, you could say the same for someone who eats meat. There are plenty of people who eat meat who are unhealthy. Any diet that is poorly planned is unhealthy. Someone who, there are people out there who have said that, they went plant-based and they felt terrible, and, symptom 1, symptom 2, symptom 3. And then, we would ask I'm not a doctor, but I would like to know what were they eating Oreos and Sprite, or were they consuming, whole foods and legumes, and
what if they were doing it?
What
if they were doing perfect, whatever the hypothetically right way of doing it is? What if they were doing that, Their well-being decreased. They were pooping too much. They had daily dozen bowel movements, and they didn't like it, and they felt really bad, and they were depressed, and they felt suicidal depression. I talked to a lot of people like that, right? You know, a lot of clients who had like suicidal depression when they're vegetarian or vegan. And what if they were doing it right? In that case, would it be okay? Would it be cruel to expect them to be vegan?
I don't know. I think that's, I mean, obviously, I think this whole thing is anecdotal at best. For every example of someone who went vegan and hated it, there's an example of someone who went vegan and...
But morality is anecdotal
loved
too.
it.
Isn't morality anecdotal and subjective, just like that? Just like well-being?
Anecdotal, I'm not sure. Subjective, yes. But I mean, like, just because one person... And I guess we would also have to frame, like, what do you mean by their well-being decreased? Do you mean they didn't like it? They weren't happy? They wished they could still eat Meat Lover's Pizza from Pizza Hut? Like,
yeah.
There's different types of well-being, you know.
Or were they experiencing symptoms? Did they go to the doctor? Was their blood work off? Did they consult, you know?
It's a hard thing to talk about, and we're not advocating that, you know, we force people to do anything. We can't. We literally can't force.
But you want to legislate, aren't you vegan abolitionists? Don't you want to legislate? You say meat is murder. If meat is murder, I should be prosecuted for murder for killing a chicken, for killing a cow.
No, we don't believe like legislation. Look, I suppose at heart, I wish there was no more exploitation, no more suffering, and it would just all go away. But realistically, that's just not how it's going to happen. So, and we feel that legislating, like making it a law, prohibiting that people buy animal products is it's not the most effective way to go.
We've tried prohibition before.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The idea would be that people make this decision on their own.
Okay, right on. All right, so we got. You guys still hear me? It says
you're frozen again. Oh, there you go.
I'm back. All right, cool.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's just Zoom that was doing it. OBS was fine, so I think the stream's still good. Vegan Phobic sends another $1.99. Thanks, dude. Again, check out Vegan Phobic's channel.
Frozen again, Tristan.
Okay.
I'll come back.
I'll come back. Tell me when I'm back, and I'll go back.
We can hear the audio just fine though.
Yeah, audio is good. Just the video is frozen.
All right, let me just see what I can do here.
Oh, yes. Here.
All right, started my video again. I just restarted the video.
We're clearing up some RAM on our end too, see if that helps.
Yeah. It says that you guys
There we
got...
go.
There we go.
All right, cool. You had red bars next to the... maybe I think your internet's actually going out a little bit because my streaming bandwidth is still good.
Yeah, I think we fixed this.
I think your guys' internet is nutrient deficient. Your internet.
It's still freeing up. Okay, there we go. Okay.
All right, cool. We're good. Okay, so Vegan Phobic, thanks a lot, man. $1.99. Check out Vegan Phobic's channel. He is vegan phobic, but he's not trans vegan phobic like some people we know. Can we eat the animals vegans kill to produce fake meat? Ooh, all right. So the rats that get killed by the rodenticides, the bugs that get killed by the rodenticides, is it moral to eat those?
It's like
it's kind of like the roadkill question. Yeah, I mean, in theory, no, there's nothing immoral about killing an animal that was killed by a car
eating an animal.
or eating an animal because they're already dead, so their carcass is already dead.
All right, good answer. Evan Schultz says, $15. Do the guests subjectively think abortion is wrong?
We've already
answered that earlier. There you go. I'll give you your $15
As a form of birth control.
As a form of birth control. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know.
But what about as a form of ritual sacrifice?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, ritually sacrificing humans is
weird.
Subjectively wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about like, is the mother or the child endangered? Is their life in danger? Then
is their health at risk?
Then we have to think. Maybe we have to think outside the box.
All right, I've got a question. This is my own question about indigenous rights. So this was in the Joaquin Phoenix video. He says, well, whether it's queer rights, women's rights, then an indigenous. Well, it's funny because by women's rights,
and animal rights.
Indigenous. Yeah, but it's funny because by a lot of people when they say women's rights, a lot of them mean abortion rights. And I think that's kind of a contradiction there, but that's not what the question is. Indigenous rights. So most indigenous people who still live the lifestyle that they've lived ancestrally for a long time, they all consume animals, right? All indigenous groups consume animals. Mm-hmm. Yes, every single indigenous group. There's not a single indigenous vegan or vegetarian group.
I have. Well, there's actually I'm from Costa Rica, and there is an indigenous group, the Maleku, who are currently plant-based, mostly because the animals that they used to hunt have gone extinct due to human.
So they're forced to go vegan, but they're not vegan. They're plant-based, but they're not. But they still eat animals.
Well, they don't eat it. They exist in not eating animals.
What do they eat? They have to eat animals unless they're supplementing with supplements.
No,
what do they supplement?
They don't. They eat grains and legumes and potatoes and all the things that we eat.
I would love you to. I don't want to go too much on this, but please, will you do me a favor and send me is there an article or video about these people?
Well, no, we visited their village. I don't know that I have. I'll look it up and see if there's anything online.
You guys didn't make a video. You should have made a documentary. You could prove to everybody who talks. Everyone always uses this argument against veganism. You could have proved them all wrong. You non-vegans are debunked. You guys got to go make a documentary, man. You guys got to start
next time we go. Next time
we're in Costa Rica, we're going to get some footage and make a documentary.
All right, I get 50% of the profits because it's my idea. Patenting it right now. All right.
Very assertive.
John McCrae. I'm a businessman. John McCrae says, 1999. Appreciate your work, Tristan, with a big thumb up. Hey, man, thanks for the big super chat and the big thumb up. I appreciate your super chat and I appreciate your big ass thumb. Rafiq Jennings, 999 says, keep up the good fight. Your way of living is ethical too. Thank you, man. I don't know if that's some transphobia undertones in there, but that's fine. I appreciate the super chat. Garland Farms, $5 says, if rodenticides are applied intentionally, is this considered practicable murder? Practicable, right? The practicable murder. Is it practicable?
Possible and practicable, right? Because humans need farmers to farm food. So yes, we're doing what is possible and practicable. And for the vast majority of people living in Western society, we need farmers to grow food for us.
Yeah. Well, this is why I think veganism as a worldview is kind of crazy, because the definition of veganism from the Vegan Society is, do you know it offhand?
Yes, it's a lifestyle that seeks to exclude the exploitation of animals as far as what's possible and practicable.
Yeah, so who defines what's possible and practicable?
I think that's also a topic of debate too, if you get into a lot of, again, super deep meta conversations about you don't have to live in a big city. You could move and start your own veganic farm and grow your own food. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to talk to everyday people and show them, illustrate that they can keep living their lives as is. You don't really have to change much. All you do is you just change the products that you buy at the grocery store.
No, but that changes everything. You don't understand. That changes everything. That my whole way of life is based around keeping animals and feeding my family off of my own land. That changes everything. That forces me to change.
But if someone in Terre Haute, Indiana goes to the store and they buy Brussels sprouts instead of pork chops, that doesn't affect you, right?
No, but it's going to affect them because they're going to get the shits. They're going to get the shits really bad if they just eat Brussels sprouts and no meat.
But that's our point.
I think people have wanted to poop more since the beginning of time because the fiber supplements have been a thing before veganism was a thing.
You guys haven't tried a fiberless diet yet. You've been on veganism for 3 years. Man, some people who've had ulcerative colitis, who've had really bad digestive issues, they find it so incredibly relieving to remove fiber. And a lot of people who've had there's actually the only study done, the only double-blind controlled study done on constipation showed that removal of all fiber completely stopped all symptoms of idiopathic constipation, right? Whereas maintaining the same fiber intake, or medium fiber diet, gave no relief, and a high fiber diet, all the symptoms, they also continued with all the same symptoms, and some of them got worse. So that's a study. If you search idiopathic constipation fiber study on PubMed, you can get the full text of the study, And I know we're not debating the health things though, but I would say that once you guys leave veganism and you end up trying like a low residue, low fiber diet, come on now. Come on.
I'm happy with my pooping.
I want to see, you guys got to make a full day of pooping video, okay? No vegan has accepted my challenge. I want to see vegan full days of pooping videos.
Make a full day of pooping?
Full day
Would a carnivore then have to do like a full week of pooping? Because we'd have to catch it. The rare instance.
No, but I mean, I don't need a full carnivore diet right now. But even when I would do like nothing, but actually today, all I had was animal foods. All I had was a carnivore meal. It'll be one nice, clean, one wipe wonder. And yeah, but some, you know,
I've actually never heard that phrase.
The one wipe wonder? Because you hang out with vegans all the time, man.
Did you
It's
invent
not
that?
even, did I invent the one wipe wonder? No.
That should be a toilet paper brand name.
Oh yeah, it's a good toilet paper. It would be sold out now.
It would be sold out. That's the thing. You see these people, they're buying beans and toilet paper, and it's like,
Right.
Maybe-
This is before the coronavirus even became a problem. My mom was texting me photos from like her local supermarket. And she's like, they're out of beans. I'm like, what do you mean they're out of beans? Is that just the supermarket that where you go? Or, like, I thought she was being conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean I didn't perceive what was happening.
No, they're literally
because
vegan food is so expensive until there's a crisis, and then everyone buys up all the beans and and oats and all the other cheap food.
There's a lot of pictures people are putting of like the meat aisle, and all the meat and dairy foods are gone, and then there's just a bunch of fake like soy foods are still there though. Like there's a few pictures of that.
all the tofu was gone from Ralph's. I don't know. It might be. Different.
What's the vibe like? Are the supermarkets emptying out every single day still where you guys live?
Well, we went this past
a couple days
Tuesday
ago,
because,
yeah.
well, it was the day that they declared it a pandemic, the WHO. And I said, we actually do need to go shopping. We only have like 2 boxes of pasta left.
Everyone
And
buys the pasta. Everyone's buying that pasta.
All the pasta was gone.
don't even
All
tell
the beans were gone. All the rice.
we thought we were like just gonna go get a few things, and all the aisles were.
What if
empty.
what if it was like week 3, you're super hungry, all that's left on the shelf is meat because everybody's being super ethical shoppers. Would you eat that meat? You're starving. Your cat needs to eat. There's no cat food left. The vegans have eaten all the cat food, all the vegan cat food. No more kibble. No kibble left. Would you eat the meat?
Well, that's kind of like saying if you were
on a deserted
island and the only thing you could eat was meat. I mean, obviously, humans would self-preserve. It's wired in us to preserve our own life. Mm-hmm. So if you're forced to do something as a mode of survival, I don't think it can be really deemed ethical or unethical because you're forced to do it.
Subjectivity. All right.
Well, no, if you're objectively forced to do anything, if someone holds a gun to your head and says, "Give me your wallet or I will kill you." Yeah. Now you have free will to not give me your wallet. I don't really consider that a decision that you can make. I mean, in theory you could, but it's a forced decision.
All right. So we got ever more super chats. We got Evan Schultz, $15 says, "I am an organic farmer. Is it immoral for me to spray organic insecticide to kill millions of russet mites to avoid crop failure?"
I mean,
millions of mites. Think about this. If all lives, he's an organic farmer. So organic, but even veganic. What if he was veganic? Could he spray organic insecticide, veganic insecticide made from unicorn farts? And could he spray that on those, I'm talking millions of mites. Millions of mites lose their lives.
About protection of crops versus,
and again,
purposeful slaughter.
And again, we're talking about possible and practicable. I'm sure if there was a different way, another way that she knew of getting the same result without having to spray whatever it is, then she might opt for that. But is it possible and practicable now? Probably not. Is it realistic? Probably not.
All right. So all right. we got a few more. White Dog, what's up, White Dog? $4.99. This could have been a good conversation. Is Tristan didn't base he morality on a 2,000-year-old book written by humans? Oh shit! We got an atheist who just debunked God in one incorrectly worded sentence. Hey, White Dog, this could have been a good super chat if he did know how right real sentence. So, all right, Scott Duvall, $10, says, it was a good conversation because I stayed and listened. LOL, biblical theology as well. Right on. Thank you very much, Scott. Really appreciate it. JC Mustian, $5, says, please ask if they've ever tried to farm organically. It is almost impossible to get necessary calories from veggies on small acreage. Not almost. It is impossible. I don't know anybody who's been able to do it, live off of their own land as a vegan farmer without any input from the outside, but many people do it that I know with animal husbandry. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Have you ever tried to farm organically, and what do you think about it being impossible or even difficult, even if you say it's possible, even very, very difficult to get all your calories and produce all your own food in a sustainable way?
We're sure it's difficult. That's why we pay farmers to produce food.
And kill animals.
You look around where we live, everyone's in apartment buildings, everyone, it's a city. There's very few places actually practicing that form of farming. Unfortunately, it's a matter of space. It's a matter of, I might not want to be a farmer. I want to do, we have professions that we choose to do.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's the beauty of society, is that we all specialize and help each other out. So some people become farmers, some people become doctors, some people become YouTubers and entertain the masses.
Basil, that's the extent of it.
We're good at growing barley grass for our cats.
You guys video froze. You want to reset the video?
Yeah, so did yours. Hold on.
Okay, let me just reset my video.
Are we?
We're still good.
No, we're still good on RAM.
I still hear you.
Let's
see here. It just stopped the video and then started. Uh-oh. They're gone. You guys, I'm worried that the virus got them. Okay. I was worried for a second because I can't hear you now. Where's your audio?
Hold on.
Click the mute button.
Man.
Oh, no,
yeah, you're good. You're good. I was worried for a second. You guys weren't wearing your toilet paper masks, and I thought maybe the worst had happened. Goodness. Thankfully you're back. All right. So, all right, cool. Are you guys satisfied with that one? I think you guys got the point across.
Yeah.
Scott Duvall. What's up, Scott Duvall? Thank you so much. There's another super chat from Scott. Really appreciate the support, man. Everybody here supporting the stream. Greatly appreciated. I'm going to have to get on and do some more streams. I'm sorry for the lack of output on the channel. YouTube as a platform is very often uninspiring, uninteresting, and just off-putting to me these days. I feel like I'm in a space that is just, I don't know. YouTube's getting icky these days. I'm surrounded by all sorts of weirdness here. But thank you for supporting. I'm going to be back with some more streams. I've got some more good debates with some other vegan activists coming. Look forward to those conversations. This has been one of my favorite debates, discussions that I've had with the vegan participants. And thank you guys for supporting. You guys are making it worth it to put out this content consistently. The intent of the car is not to make roadkill. You are intentionally killing animals to protect your food source. WTF is the difference then? So if you're intentionally killing animals,
the car is not a subject. We are operating that car.
The intention of the car is not to kill roadkill, obviously.
No, I mean.
But the purpose of applying pesticides is to protect the crops. So he's saying, I'm confused.
But
I'm not really sure exactly what he's getting at. If he wants to clarify, he can send a $100 super chat and I'll read it. No, I'm just kidding.
We can talk.
I think what he's saying is, the pesticides purposefully protect the crops. The car does not purposefully kill the roadkill.
Yeah, but it's okay to kill it. It's okay to, the intent of the car is not to make roadkill. Maybe it's just separate. Maybe it's just saying that then you are intentionally killing animals to protect your food source. What is the difference? Like, you're killing 1 million mites. I'm gonna kill 1 cow. Why is it bad for me to kill one cow, but you can practicably and possibly kill 1 million mice?
Well, the cow also attracts other creatures. I'm sure cows attract flies. Are there flies that fly around your cow that wouldn't be there if the cow wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
providing life for those flies. I'm providing life for them.
Let's see, we could go into these loops. We're looking at the big world picture. We prefer to look at the world picture of how, these small examples, these hypotheticals, fringe issues are not necessarily conducive to the big world issue.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So Jay Dyer, what's up, Jay Dyer? You guys make sure to check out. I'm sure everybody watching here has seen Jay Dyer's channel. Has probably seen our chats. Some of my favorite episodes on this show have been with Jay Dyer. Jay Dyer, up in the friend zone with $10 USD, says, if ethics are subjective, is it also subjective to say ethics are subjective and therefore the original claim is false? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at earlier. So it's like a more succinct way of getting at it. Ethics are subjective. Is that also subjective, that ethics are subjective?
Oh, brother.
We're getting deep into the meta.
This is important, though. Like, this is very, very important for us to consider. If we're going to base our whole society, our whole worldview on, a flimsy definition of ethics, I think
Do we have significant evidence that ethics are objective?
There's a question for Jay. So you're going to have to take that up with Jay.
He
answers your question with a question.
I have not seen sufficient evidence that ethics are objective. I have not seen sufficient evidence to believe that.
All right, so then I appreciate that you do not expect me to believe it's objectively true that I should be vegan, right? Like, that's not objectively true.
It's not objectively true. No, we're trying to...
You guys are being really bad vegan activists. You're supposed to be super annoying, super pushy. You're just kind of like letting it, you're just saying, it doesn't matter. You can not be vegan if you want.
No, we can put out what we know, what we've seen, our subjective experience, and let people make up their own minds like we did.
Okay.
That's all we can do.
All right. So
come to a vigil and make up your own subjective mind.
All right.
Anyone who's watching, we invite you.
So I'm saying, come to my farm and make up your subjective mind. Try the Beyond Steak. It's delicious. K2KYD says, for USD $2, protection of crops is purposeful slaughter. So he's saying that protection of crops is slaughter, and that is therefore okay in your worldview somehow?
It's the best that we can do at this moment in our history as a society.
So eating animals.
Unfortunately.
And if I made that same argument, it's the best we can do to eat animals, is that also valid?
As we said, what you do on your farm in Ecuador isn't really what's going on globally. Like, we're trying to talk.
Couldn't they also say, like, factory farming is the best we can do to feed the population? Couldn't they make that?
That is what they said, and that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
But now we have other options.
Like factory farming pea protein isolate in $100 million.
You don't have to eat pea protein isolate.
You don't have to eat soy or tofu to be vegan.
We're not pro processed foods. You don't have to eat processed foods to live a vegan lifestyle.
Jay sends $2. Jay Dyer sends another $2. So he says, what if that argument I just gave is the argument? What if that argument I just gave is the argument? He's saying the argument is, if ethics are subjective, is it also subjective to say ethics are subjective? Therefore, the original claim is false, right? This is a valid argument. It logically checks out. I think that anybody who has a subjective viewpoint of morality in the chat, you wouldn't be able to debunk that. And I'd say that
if what he's saying is it's subjective, that ethics are subjective, I think by definition he's then saying that ethics are objective. And I would need to see...
It's an objective statement to say ethics are subjective. It's an objective statement. Like, you made that statement many, many times here too. You said it's objectively true that ethics are subjective.
Yes.
Okay.
But he's saying he's taking it one step further, but I would then just ask for significant evidence of his viewpoint.
All right. So the Norwegian News says, in other words, it is logically impossible to maintain that all morality is subjective. Therefore, from the impossibility of the contrary, via disjunctive syllogism, morality is objective. So that's like put into very concise terms philosophically. and that checks out. But it is like
I think what we're losing in all of this back and forth about subjective and objective, we're losing the victims. Because I don't think
but it's just subjective.
If I'm about to be murdered and someone says, it's subjectively my opinion that I can murder you, it's fine.
Well, if you say it's subjectively...
for me as the victim.
Yeah, but what does it do to say it's subjective?
Sorry, you're muted, Tristan.
Uh-oh. Where am I at? Am I still muted? You hear me?
Hello?
Hey, do you guys hear me?
No, we're still good here.
Let me see. How about now? Now I can't hear you. You guys are muted. We're muted. That's so weird. Can you hear me now? Because I can't hear you. Mute me and unmute me, or mute yourself and unmute yourself.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Got it.
That's weird. Right. I don't know.
Odd.
All right.
I think that's the internet saying, okay, guys.
It's like, that's enough. That's
enough bandwidth.
Enough bandwidth. All right. So, all right. Let's wrap this up. Maybe I'll. We can do this another time if you guys want to ever come back. If you have something you want to talk about, but I want to say thank you for coming on and for having a nice conversation. Yeah. It's been really good.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, we appreciate it, and we obviously that's, we really appreciate dialogue and conversation, and we know that the buzzword on YouTube is debate and who's right and who's wrong, who wins and who loses, but. If we've made people think a different way or a new way, then that's good. I think that's good.
Subjectively
speaking.
Yeah. All right. Hey guys, those annoying vegans, not so annoying to me. They've been pretty nice. They've been pretty. They've not been as annoying as some of these other vegans on YouTube. So I want to thank you guys for coming on, and you guys can check out their channel, Those Annoying Vegans. They've got an Instagram as well, and they don't do the Twitter, but you can find them on Instagram and on their website. Anything else you guys want to say to the audience? Anything else? Where can people find you? And closing statements. We'll wrap it up.
No, like Tristan said, we're on Instagram if you want to follow us day to day. We have an Etsy store if you want to check out some vegan swag for the Vegan Festival summertime, assuming those are still going to happen. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, but also check out Dominion, check out Earthlings, check out The Game Changers, check out What the Health. I think that exposing yourself to new information is always a good thing.
Subjectively.
There you go. I think this was an objectively fun chat, and I thank the super chats.
That is objective.
Thanks everybody for the super chats. Thanks everybody for supporting the stream. If you guys want more content like this and exclusive content, become a member. There's a link down in the description below. Make sure to check us out on Instagram as well. I've had some funny debates and live streams up on Instagram lately. And what I do is I archive those and I save those for the exclusive members content. We do 2 monthly coaching calls. The next monthly coaching call is going to be next week in the members section. And appreciate all the support from everybody in the audience. Appreciate all the patrons who have become members and who enjoy the private members forum. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot for hanging out.
All right. Thanks, Tristan.
Thank you, Tristan.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Bye.
You raise the sense of urgency around climate change.
What ups, Reflections? I am not a bigot. I am ready to save the planet by doing exactly what the big banks tell the TV screens to tell us to do. I feel so empowered on my #vegan journey. Join us as we chant empty slogans for #climate action written by PR firms. We need to save the earth and demand a global totalitarian technocratic government run by big finance and the Fortune 100. Our house is on fire and we need the nice grown-up government to take everyone's land and resources and ration us delicious, sustainable, nutrient-fortified vegan kibble. This is an emergency. Mommy Earth is crying so sad because she wants the mean grown-ups to give poor little 16-year-old human shield Greta her future back.
Do you have anything to add to these debates about just in particular the idea that it's kind of too expensive to deal with climate change?
I mean, the money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean,
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicides and was working alone. Veganism is desirable and fun and make me smile big happy on my insides. I do not hate children. I am not a science denier. I do like science. To fix the hashtag climate crisis we need to sterilize ourselves, starve ourselves, eat babies and grandma and move to a social engineered hashtag smart city to save the earth. There is no time to examine the inconsistencies in our claims or actions or the billions of dollars being leveraged to brainwash us into thinking we want this. We want hashtag climate action now and a hashtag plant-based food system of sustainable fortified kibble. We are not being used. We are truly empowered and full of energy that we are using constructively. We are so empowered and not deceived.
We all share the same values, so we just need to align those values with our actions and join forces. We all want the same thing. We want to see an Earth in the next 50 years.
The money is there. If we can save the banks, then we can save the world. I mean,